Chapter 1. Female Slave of the Past. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When I was young, I lived in a remote town called Polka. It lays in a heavy snowfall zone where half of the year is pure white and there is nothing that seems to be like a town, because the wilderness and a coniferous forest extend as far as the eyes can see. Naturally, agriculture can hardly be done because of the climate, and the forest around was also famous for a lot of demon beasts living inside. Polka is a town which didn't seem to prosper well, although there is a specialty which only exists there. It is a mysterious spring water which does not freeze even in winter, called the Soul Fountain of Polka. This water sprung up in some places inside the town and has the power of healing everything. It is effective for anything from sickness to injury. There is also a story that a soldier who was attacked by a demon beast in the forest was half torn apart and was healed after drinking this water. That's why the town was crowded with pilgrims who had always had illnesses or injuries, and there was nothing to do because the water sprung up only for half a day. This spring, in fact, is famous for local people, but there are also hot springs. It became extremely popular especially because it rejuvenates the skin of women. Polka's 50-year-old women look like 30 years old. The land pattern of a fair-skinned beauty in a snowy country and a hot spring is a heavenly scenery already. And then there was me, a peeper. Hey. Andy the blacksmith again. I was found by the flower shop's aunt and the girl from the tavern who threw a snowball. I have a good technique to escape on the snow, which is my homemade sled. I was famous as the blacksmith's erotic brat profusely, but only the young girl got angry, while the married aunt was laughing. Because it was a time where men were few in this country and it was a conscription, they seemed to have a reliable and broad opinion of me. As mentioned above, even that aunt is the owner of an excellent body through the effect of the spring. Today as well, Jessica the florist threw snowballs at me who was sliding over the snow. I was hit by the snowball and was thrown into the snow after losing control of my sled. Gua! My whiffing body sank and I panicked momentarily. It is quite scary when the body is laying in the snow which piled up to 1 m. I woke up after a while and looked for my sled when I noticed a small scary situation. A trail of something came from the forest. And the trace is not even 10 m away. There were hot springs in the suburbs of the town and it was easy for demon beasts to come out. There was a neatly maintained entrance in the forest. Ignoring it meant that something of an unrelated area came out and was sufficiently dangerous. However, it was a demi-human who had come from an impromptu passage. Elf. No, the long ears of this demi-human indicated that it was an elf. However, the elves near Polka stubbornly didn't want to trade with humans and made a non-interference agreement with us. When I thought what this elf was doing here, it seemed hesitating to say something. Please give me the water of the soul fountain, my friend will die. What is with the spring of the forest? I don't get it, because I'm a half. At last, it came. Oh, you're a half-elf. Yes, elves are a territorial tribe and tend to want to eliminate those who are unrelated to their villages from their territory. On the other hand, humans in this Trot kingdom are quite tolerant of demi-humans, but it has been a very painful matter for elves. Well, the forest is open to create a town or village, so humans were kicked out by the elves of the forest, and without a warning, they killed humans merciless with their bow and arrows. It was enough to raise fear and hostility towards elves. Meanwhile, the narrowness of the half-elf was standing out from other demi-humans. Her ears are long. It's shorter than the pure elves, but it's very rare to see an elf, so I can't really tell what an elf is. And some people have the urge to kill elves because they killed their companions. Therefore, they cannot help but to live in the shadow of the forest and Polka. Sadly, she was a victim who could never do anything more than a tribal conflict could do better. If you ask the fountain guards in town, you will be blessed with just a small fee. I don't have any money, and I don't expect to get permission to enter the town. Dwarfs and half-ogres are entering and leaving too, so it seems possible. The half-elf girl laughed at my words as she thought of her childish thinking. Even awkward demi-humans were permitted to enter and exit as part of the workforce, but half-elves didn't really enter Polka. Please. I'll do anything, as long as I can do it. Even if she said anything, she was still embarrassed. She can't get into the city because she doesn't have any money. She also doesn't seem to be particularly artistic. A girl who has long ears and looks very young. Even without passing through the defense of the fountain, it was easy to enter because there are hot springs in the immediate vicinity, but this girl said that she will do anything and work for free if I help her. Thinking about something, I had a good idea with the spirit of a lewd boy. Is what you said true? Yes, it depends on the human, but as long as I can, I really will do anything. I was feeling a little guilty, but I think I won't lose. Take off your clothes and let me touch your body as much as I want. The half-elf girl seemed to be frightened indeed. I think that my lewd spirit is too admirable even if I think now. The girl's eyes became wet. She was looking down and was turning red. It really was too straight. If it is unpleasant, then it's okay. It was useless. Even if it is said otherwise, I was a bit disappointed, but it was good. I thought that it would be like ants who get paper. However, the girl panicked. I will. I don't care, because I will be naked anyway. So. When I think about it now, it may be that it sounded like saying, I give up the spring fountain, goodbye. I didn't understand it, but I was overjoyed that I didn't think anything in particular, because she agreed to my lewd condition. But, at least in a little warm place, yes. In this way my brain worked extra. I took the girl who was bigger than myself and started climbing the snow hill while dragging my sled. Hot spring baths are open until 10 bells of the temple. 6 bells are midday and 12 bells are midnight, so in Polka it is 8 o'clock in the evening. We entered inside, because it contains the spring water. The fountain guard that controls the heat was fueling the bonfire with firewood. Well, the fountain of the hot spring was unprofitable. They tried to take a bath fee, but because it was declined by the women it became a subsidy, because it seemed to be unavoidable. The cleaning was done in the morning anyway, until then it remains the same. It was necessary to endure even if it is dark. If it's dark, you don't have to worry if it was an elf. You might see the darkness because of an ogre, but they don't take a bath in the first place. Mixed bathing. The half-elf girl was shocked and bewildered. This is also the water of the spring fountain, is not it? Yes, it is. You can get some of it on the way home. What a luxury. Anyway, the miracle only lasts for half a day and you don't have to be sick enough to drink it. I guess so. It seems that it wasn't convincing that the water she wanted so bad and she would do anything for was just used as hot water. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, let me have your boobs. Yes. I took off my clothes first and jumped into the hot water, before the half-elf girl took off her clothes with a very complicated face. I'm sorry that she can't enjoy the whiteness of my skin, but her perfect proportions and beautiful skin are unbearable even in moonlight. I reached out for her unscrupulously as I get closer to her. She was smart with a nervous face, but she let me grab her breasts for a while without hesitation. Oh, great, such huge breasts, it is at the level of the Baron's wife. Are you often touching a girl's body? At that age I didn't touch them. I just took a look. The Baron's wife would let me massage her chest if asked, but I would be in danger if I did that. I only peep and sometimes I get pulled in by the aunties. It was permissible to call me a prankster, so that was my line. However, now, there is the best chest and thighs in front of me that can be touched all the time because of a promise. It's an experience that let my brain become numb. Yuwa, Yara, N, U, U. Even though I'm just a pervert who really just touches them, embarrassing things will always be embarrassing and it will never be amusing. Nevertheless, the half-elf never rejected while being touched, although she worried repeatedly. Rubbing her buttocks and even touching her crotch sometimes. I just wanted to make sure I was going to see what that place is like. That, HIAA. I never understood what the crotch is like by peeping from a distance through the steam. Besides, pubic hair is disturbing. Surprisingly, however, she has no hair growing. Is it like this? Do elves not grow hair there? I don't know. I've never seen naked pure elves. I see. I rather like it when women have no pubic hair. Thank you. While turning red and looking down, this girl was seriously ashamed. I massaged, licked and sucked her breasts and rubbed her buttocks. I feel like I was sticky. But after a while the sign of a person appeared at the entrance of the bathhouse and I was forced to stop and suddenly hugged her. Someone's coming. It's meritorious to come to a hot spring after the bonfire disappears. It is inconvenient because it is easy to wash and stumble easily. Or was it a casual customer like this half-elf? The two of us sat still and looked at the new customers with eyes accustomed to the darkness. It was a pair. It was hard to hear their voices by the sound of the hot springs, but one is a man. The other one is Kaya. The half-elf girl stopped her breath. I could see, but I could not understand for a while what they were doing. The girl's identity is the daughter of the aunt using the inn, while the man is probably a traveler. Taking off their clothes by themselves in the dark, they are embracing and intertwining in the bathtub. Sometimes I hear something like a complaint of an extra fee for service. After a while the talk was over, the woman crouched down in front of the crotch of the man and started making awkward sounds. I couldn't imagine what they were doing at that time, but I only knew that it would be something erotic in earnest. I was still holding the half-elf girl who was holding her breath. The man suddenly rose up, grabbed the woman's head, and started to move his hips. The woman was also wriggling in a hurry and after a while they gave up or became quiet, and stopped moving. And as they collapsed, they both got inside the hot water and breathed out before they quarreled again. What's that? I was completely poisoned by the unexplained spectacle that developed in front of my eyes. I did not understand what it meant. My heart was beating very fast, but I cannot understand. Even though there was a wonderful naked body in front of my eyes and I can touch it as I want, the act of someone else was too shocking. What was that? What was that? I was confused all by myself. Even if I said something, Polka has many moral adults. I mean, I did not know about sex or blowjob, even though I was watching the naked bodies of women. I was satisfied by witnessing it accidentally. It seems that the half-elf girl was the same. What? Do you want me to do that? What is that? You will definitely understand if you try it. Perhaps I was stroked by lust, but I was deciding resolutely beyond what I was thinking and it would have been a frustration of some sort. At that time, for the first time, I realized that the girl in front of me was older than myself, probably stronger than myself and I had no more hesitation. When the half-elf girl unraveled my hand, she got her face close to my crotch just like the girl a while before. Looking at my hard penis, she narrowed her eyes. And she did not show any hesitation when she caught my dick. My penis stood up at once. The half-elf girl trembled as if she was surprised by it, but she boldly kissed it. She opened her mouth, welcoming the tip and moving her tongue to the gap of the skin which has opened only a little. This, I wonder. Yo, you don't even know what you're doing yourself. I know it perfectly. But I was just listening to the talk. It's a 5-foot walk with me who was absorbed in the naked soft female body. The half-elf girl who is older than me knows what sex is. Unlike me who had no choice but to make noises at least instinctively, she had correct knowledge on how to have sex. My clumsily panting voice and the eagerly sucking of the female elf sounded in the darkness of the fountain. Apparently she seemed to understand that if she plucked the skin and then pulled towards the root, I will feel very good. She began to tease me seriously. Mbu, terrific, it's so hard. The feeling of a wet mucous membrane attacks my naked glands. For me who did not even know about masturbation, it was more like torture than pleasure. The technique itself was not a big deal to think about now, but for me who doesn't know about sex or ejaculation, I could only give a scream past the unknown world. And then, something like that, yua. Pupu. I ejaculated. In the beautiful lips of this half-elf girl, my first ejaculation was probably born. It was a while after I learned that it was an ejaculation, but at that time I was confused by the pleasure so that I didn't hear what my whole body said and I had no idea what the white thing hanging from her lips was. Nku. She looked at me with a smile, while we were still in the hot spring. She was drinking my semen. What, that, fellatio, fellato. She laughed prettily. The scary frailty that I only saw for a moment disappeared and she returned to her pretty original impression. Can I get my reward? What reward? I forgot about it, because of the exciting experience. After that, I repeated my relationship with her several times. It was to deliver the water of the fountain. It seems that she wasn't able to recover by just drinking a cup as it was truly a matter of life. But she knew that it would be easy to take water from the hot spring silently if she goes out at night, but she dutifully came to me, and coming out, dokuan. We met in the forest, at the hunter's cottage which was not being used. We immediately intertwined and I ejaculated in her mouth. I was absorbed in her fellatio and her body, though I just touched her and continued to deliver miraculous spring water to her who sucks my dick. No matter how many times I asked, she refused. But I responded happily. Andy.san, today's closing time 9 bells. After I ejaculate, I enjoy massaging her body for a while. And when I get lusty, she sucks my penis with her mouth again. We repeated it over and over again from early afternoon to evening. Today, that, let me see. That, the truth is, my penis in your mouth, She stripped of all her clothes so that I can rub her breasts thoroughly, but she could not speak about the essential things and she chewed her lips repeatedly. I did not know the meaning behind it and waited for her to speak. Okay. With my mouth again today. It was cute though, she did not understand it somehow and she started her fellatio after a while. When the snow melted, it became the end of our meetings. All her friends have totally recovered, so we were no longer able to meet each other for no reason. They were originally close to wanderers and had no place to return so we thought they could stay near Polka all the time, but the story of my blacksmith training has started. That, in the capital, we can't meet anymore. The destination is the capital city. It is said that for at least 10 years, I will be training at a prestigious workshop where my father also studied. I did not want to go, but I am stuck at the answer when it is asked what a blacksmith's son can do without doing blacksmithing. Unfortunately, without studying or having a sword, I only can become a beggar, so I hate my father for such a relation. But I was reluctant to mess with him. No. Andy.san, don't go. Do not throw me away. But I can't live if I can't work. Also, half-elves can't enter the capital, but, no. I wonder how much she will push at a 10-year-old boy, but in fact she sticks to me when it comes down. Maybe there was a point where I had to do something for her. I don't know the values of half-elves, but the truth is still in the dark. If I don't have this ear, if I cut it like this, Andy. San and I, eh. As she raised her face, she suddenly cut her left ear with a bush knife. She did not hesitate, and the blade had entered half of her ear when thinking. Stop. I was so surprised by the consequences that without thinking, I put out my hand and knocked the knife away. The knife falls on the gravel road. Her blood and the blood of my palm were scattered on the snow. You. My ears also hurt, my face was pale as I saw the wound in my hand. At that time, I finally realized that she cherished me badly and was regrettable to leave me as it is. Till then, she was the same as me and thought that she was drunk at the time of sweet, pleasant tenderness. I do not want to leave you at all. It was an impulsive, kid-smelling whim. I told her willfully again. Hey, you. You said you'd do anything. Yes. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, wait a minute. In the warehouse of my house, I had a lot of broken harness and worn-out blacksmith tools for my practice. From among them, I delved out a saddle strap and some tools, and ran back to her. And, the string was silently processed at the fireplace in the hunter's hut where we embraced each other. Cut it by this much, is this the front? What are you doing? Well look. Even if it was a fastening string, the thickness is several centimeters. It was a sturdy thing that can be applied to a belt if it is for children. I cut it, processed it and printed something on it with poor quality baked irons. Andy, Smithson, Andy's name. Yes. I did it, just to make sure that it was completed, I pulled it and checked its strength. And as I approached her, I wrapped it around her neck. You'll put this on for now on. This. It was a collar. Pets and slaves have a collar with a name tag of the owner. There were no slaves in this country for a long time, but I forced her to become one. As long as you put this on, you're mine. Only mine. I will not do it for other people. Keep it forever, absolutely. Yes. In a sense, it was a ridiculous request, but she smiled and accepted it. And 3 days after that, I left Polka. That is already 15 years ago. That's why I have a half-elf girl, Ukuku. It's a story made up in Smithson's brain. Is it time already? Hey, you have to pay your bills soon. Do not say it's made up by my mind. Idiot. I am not in the capital now. 10 days away by carriage, I was a soldier rather than a blacksmith in the frontier city of the Celesta country located in the south of the kingdom. The war with the Celesta country started and the capital fell while I was in the middle of training. Celesta, which incorporated the Trot kingdom into their sphere of influence, reorganized the kingdom army and incorporated it into their army corps. It was not possible for me to return to the blacksmith training, and it took me 7 years from being a trainee soldier to become a 10-man platoon captain. I cannot use a sword, so I belong logical to the South's crossbow team. It seems that it is an invention of the Dark Elves, and the kingdom's proud swordmaster brigade was so badly destroyed by this power. I could read the structure just by looking and I was able to repair it. Among the kingdom originating from many countries where cold rice is eaten, you will be disturbed by pride and hindrance, so I became familiar early and became a 10-man captain and I cannot go back to the kingdom or Polka anymore. Well, that's it. I fell in love with a a 100-man commander. When I raised my eyes, which was hazy from sake, a dark elf was sitting opposite me. Diane, the 100-man commander. She is the general commander of the crossbow corps, from sword to body skill, from magic to academic skills, she is a strong woman who can do anything. Because the world is cold to halves, even parents will get rid of them. When someone gets a little gentle like that, they will appreciate it. Even that half-elf girl you mentioned, she will devote her life to you in earnest. Hey. I hope so, not good. You left her 15 years ago and you don't even remember her name. I just forgot it. I can just recall it roughly. I heard that half-elf girl story 7 times so far and I remember that you never mentioned her name. However, Wepu. I seem to spit a bit. It is troubling that the progress of sake will become faster when it comes to this story somehow. There will be more to remember than that. I immediately remembered. Andy Smithson of Polka. Do you remember me too? When it comes to memories, 100. Man Commander is always serious. She seems to have met me a long time ago. Even if she says such a thing, will I remember when I not drink alcohol? You can't retire or succeed until you remember what you promised. Hidee. You are awful, don't say that you forgot it. Next time. I fried the white flag as usual. 100. Man Commander sighs. At the end of the drinking bout, I was taken to the inn on the second floor of the tavern before I knew it and it was morning. I heard later that 100. Man Commander carried me. I'm not a kid anymore. You. And I have a hangover. My father also had the habit of drinking too much. I want to do something about it, but because of the lineage, it might be impossible. My memory of that half-elf is bad. She was too intense and sweet and was convenient for me, so I compared her with other girls and she will not be just a bedtime story. Even though the average level of the women of the capital and Celesta is lower than that of the Polka women who were polished by the spring fountain, even if they shed their characters, they will not be loved. That's why I don't remember touching a woman other than the 100. Man Commander since I left Polka. The 100. Man Commander lent me a shoulder and is handling the training now, so we had no sexual contact. However, 100. Man Commander, honestly, she is not bad. There is something that is attracting me to a woman like the 100. Man Commander even if I do not feel excited. Her boobs are big and her face is beautiful, she's kind, intelligent, friendly and great. Well, although she is friendly, it is rumored that the 100. Man Commander has a fiancé. I cannot go back to Polka and I am not interested in ordinary women, so I may be keeping my virginity as it is for the rest of my life. Stop. I got up feeling a little sad. As usual, my wallet was taken by the 100. Man Commander, who paid the inn charges for me. And when I was going to open the door, it opened suddenly. Someone who was dressed in a gray cloak pushed the door open before I pulled it. Who? I jumped back involuntarily. It's not that big of a grudge, but I'm afraid it would be a thug or a tough guy. Celesta is not safe because the security is bad. The cloak guy came into the room quickly with a slippery gait. That fellow quickly jumped at me. If he stabs me with a knife, he will jump to a distance that I can't run away, and looked at my face from the bottom. There was a face of a woman. In the middle of her long left ear is a half-long scratch. There was also an old collar on her neck. Master. Our voice overlapped neatly, before our lips also overlapped immediately after we fell down to the floor. What's the matter? Apparently after eating breakfast on the first floor, 100. Man Commander headed to the second floor in a stone-skipping way, jumped into the room and was stiffened by seeing our figure, frozen. Everybody in our group rushed here and cried out as soon as they saw a female half-elf who was kissing me briskly. Hey. 10. Man Commander Smithson, did your brain snap? Poha. My brain didn't snap. The half-elf beside me got up and was laughing while crumpled up in tears. She threw her tattered cloak and exposed a unique grass-green costume of the northern elves to the public. No. She pinched the collar with both hands and exposed it to the public. Nice to meet you. I'm Andy's female slave, Selenium Smithson. Together with the title which is too restless, somehow she named herself my surname. Chapter 2. Virgin Loss, Selenium, you are listening at novelfull.audio. The half-elf girl who seems to be named Selenium had been wandering around for a long time before she met me and also knew from the beginning that there was a custom of slave collars in places other than the Trot Kingdom. By the way, there are many kinds of slaves. One is the so-called labor slaves. It is the one that is bought and sold by gold and is forced to do physical labor and dirty work. The others ones are pet slaves. Also called alias.slaves, sex slaves or female slaves. They are bought for doing erotic things only, like an exclusive prostitute. I thought Selenium was Selenium. As my slave, she is one of them. What I asked for Selenium are only erotic things. It is a self-evident reason. Therefore, I am Andy's female slave, right? Is it wrong? Am I a labor slave? No, you're not wrong in that. Thank goodness. Is that good? I would like to open a military trial now. 100. Commander Diane expressionlessly declared. Together with the boasted subordinates. Witness, regular soldier Jean-Jacques. I trusted only 10. Captain Smithson, who is the banner of us men and always boasts with the delusion of a virgin in the drinking bout. Next. Soldier Rackman. It is impossible to put him on the upper line of the Celesta army when he flirts with a woman in broad daylight. It's upwind, idiot. Next, regular soldier Go-To. Panty, let me see. Next. Regular soldier Lands. I would like, 10. Captain Smithson to explain the circumstances in detail. The crossbow team is full of leisurely people. While I was thinking, I heard a disturbance and footsteps running up the stairs. Danger. 10. Captain and Zeros comes. My companions ran away like scattering spiders. A soldier in a stifling black armor jumped into the room as he broke through the crowd. What are you doing? Really, what are you doing? First was a yell-like voice and next was a voice of astonishment toward me who was tightly embraced by Selenium who was also rubbing her cheeks against me. The crossbow team is a 100. Man corps, but it is not necessary to operate only with crossbows by all means. It is too weak for a surprise attack. So in preparation for surprise attacks, there is one platoon made of 10 infantry in our corps. Just 10 people are enough to protect the crossbow corps, especially the half-elf and Zeros who has the title Ace Knight of Trot's Sword Saints. And as a swordsman, he is very picky about rules. And Zero's platoon is also called the Discipline Committee of the Crossbow Corps. I see, she is the rumored girl 10. Captain Smithson mentioned. She is an imagination. 100. Commander Diane nods to N0's cold voice. How many times did I say that she is not an imagination? Yes, she is a female slave. You should be quiet, please. Although they reproved, time was already late and N0's and the 100. Commander were blushing. N0's in his too big black armor closed his mouth and hanged his head down in shame and 100. Commander Diane closed her eyes with a bitter face. Smithson, I thought that you were a more serious person. I didn't believe the story, did I? But I had only heard half of the story, so it's impossible. I wonder when I will be liberated from this depressing situation. And, anyway. Such a shameless story is dismissed. That's right. I don't mind the soldiers having a lover or a bride in their hometown or their mind, but this here is the workplace. N0's and the 100. Commander interpreted it somewhat and made decisions without permission. And Selenium attacks from the front. I have waited for 15 years. I can't stand it anymore. I'm Andy.San's slave, I have to be with my master. I didn't know such a thing. What are you going to say about such a female slave or something so exciting? What are you going to do if the unsophisticated soldiers of our corps become manipulated by such words and obsession to sin? Wouldn't it be foolish to make fun of fellow companions? It is rough. And Zeros continued. His words were muffled with the chin guard plate and was difficult to hear. Even though he is small, I think that he should rework the armor and also think about the reputation of the blacksmith. Actually, you can be a spy that disguised itself as the half-elf from Smithson's fictional story. No, you're rather real. I have no use other than for Andy.San. If Andy.San can return, I will leave now. Selenium said calmly, while the 100-man commander and Zeros leaned forward and lifted their eyes. I can't allow that. Yes, 10-man Captain Smithson is an important and talented person in our army. Wow. It may be the first time that I'm treated so importantly. I am glad somehow, but I wish I could be happy. In the first place, you can tell if you are a fiancé. It is not surprising to anyone, even Associate Soldier Boyd has a beautiful girlfriend. Ernie Boyd, Associate Soldier. He is a 2.77 tall ogre with a human girlfriend. He is very jealous, anyway. However, as a female slave, you flatter him too much, which has a limit. Are you not ashamed? I don't care. I really don't care if I spend the rest of my life with this person only, working for this person and doing horny things with this person for a lifetime. Selenium was childish and countered with a whine. Doing this, I reminisced her image of 15 years ago somehow. Because she said a bold thing suddenly, I had a distant feeling slightly until now, but I thought that she was certainly that girl from the past. I really love him so much, what's wrong with that? Why don't you understand that even though you are also a half-elf? You, and Zeros retreated. I wonder if there was some kind of sympathy. I'm not leaving. It's awful if you get in the way. Coo, don't you threaten me, Ace Knight. While I was idle, it became a threatening situation that could start a killing immediately. What should I do? But when I talk, it seems to get worse. Both of you stop. 100-man commander forcibly separated them. She kicked Zeros, who tried to pull out his sword, and tied up Selenium, who tried to pull out a protective sword from her waist. Kiao! NMU! NMU! And Zeros shouted with a raised voice like a little girl rather than a boy, while Selenium was sealed with her cloak. Again, the 100-man commander is great. I will take care of this matter. Everyone is dismissed now. We were saved. The shooting training was done after the maintenance of the weapon in the morning, and the march training was in the afternoon. This was the daily routine of the crossbow corps. Fortunately, there is no big war these days, so we have nothing to do but to hunt monsters in the vicinity of the village. Everything else was just maintenance and training. Although cavalry and infantry were sometimes used for caravan escorts, labyrinth exploration, and border guard, the crossbow corps was special for outdoor warfare, and it was unsuitable for encounter battle. Sometimes you're struck by a salary thief and his backstroke, but since everyone knows its usefulness in the war, it is not something to worry about. 1, 2, 3, 4, female slave. 5, 6, 7, 8, female slave. It's a strange way of ridicule during march training. Let's continue with it at the shooting training. It isn't a story about 10-man captain. It's the word of the year. The worst companions make excuses with the best smiles. It's terribly uncomfortable. Can I shoot seriously? When I told them while pulling my bow, we are the ones who want to shoot rather. It was said by the ogres with a serious look as they snapped the bow with their fingers and prostrated themselves. I'm a 10-man captain. In the evening. Everyone is sweating because there is only one bath in the core building. Hey, Smithson. 100-man commander. 100-man commander Diane, who is the only woman in our corps, is taking a bath with everyone in a dignified manner. The skin of this dark elf is peculiar tan, and her nipples and the pubic region were exposed without regret. By the way, it seems to be a feature of an elf that the hair below does not grow according to the 100-man commander. You're not ashamed as usual. If you go to the battlefield many times you will get used to it because there are no girls' bath or girls' bathroom over there. You weren't attacked. I didn't live for 200 years just for show. Certainly, if you are hit by 100-man commander's martial arts, whether human or ogre, they will be beaten in one attack. I'm convinced. But Gotu and Lands are setting up something over there. 100-man commander. It's a usual thing, just leave them alone. Being generous is also a good point. Even so, what's up with that half-elf? I'm embarrassed to hear such a thing which I tried not to think about. Will you return home? There is no place to go home for the half-elf. Yes, but what will you do? She is not allowed to enter the army. She is not necessarily assigned to the crossbow corps. Oh, well. Here is the training facility. By the way, you have an erection. Please leave me alone. Who made you erect? Me or that female slave? 100-man commander, don't talk about erotic things. What will you do when N0s comes here? This person's erotic talk is too natural, so it is hard to judge whether she is serious or teasing, and I wonder where I should pay attention. 100-man commander affirmed it with a smile. He will not come to the bath. Now that you say that, I haven't seen him. Rather than the bath, I have never even seen him walking without wearing his armor. Because he was an ace knight, he said that he wears his armor all the time. When I dressed up in the bath, I saw a dagger peeking out of 100-man commander Diane's change basket. That dagger. I remembered. It was one of the few daggers I made. Ah, Smithson. Did you remember? The 100-man commander who was in the middle of wiping her body came near with her face as expected. Please wait a moment. All the knives I made can be counted with both hands. I mostly made them during the school days with agricultural tools and horseshoes. Now, the war has begun. The dagger was made for a strange person who was hanging around in front of the workshop. What are you doing? The blacksmith here is inflexible. Will you hit me if I don't have an identity card? No, that's normal. If it's an enemy, it's a profitable enemy. There is no war yet. We don't know when it's going to happen. The reason for him being a strange person was because that fellow covered his face with a hood and a desert-style mask which looked really suspicious and hid all of his body with a long cloak and a robe. However, he was disgusted by a salty senior craftsman at the workshop at that time. If it was true it should be about time to hammer a knife, but the senior craftsman made a frenzied half-hearted rumor and my relationship with my boss became worse and I could not stay at that place forever. Therefore, it may be a strange request from a strange person, but I was looking for a job that was somewhat worthwhile. What do you want? I want this sword to be a dagger. He timidly presented a one-handed sword wrapped in tanned leather. It had a broken tip. Wawahi. It's a strange broken sword and the length is odd, too. Is it useless? Well, if it's okay to become a strange blade, I can do it. I was not at all interested in doing business and the other person was very strange. Even though it had a strange tip, I thought it was okay. I don't care. This sword is a treasure which was gotten by a certain noble in the past and I have no use for a broken tip. Yeah, I guess it's going to be like this. While watching the shape of the sword I drew the finished figure with a stick on the ground. The shape of the crack was bad, it was difficult to restore it to an ordinary dagger, it was likely a top-heavy form, yet it was about 1/3 the size of a normal one, so it will become an incomprehensible dagger. So, for what can I use it for? At best you can cut fruits and letters. That's fine. Okay. A regular blacksmith will melt it and make a good new dagger. Because I was not able to use a furnace, it was a strange remodeling like a child's tool when thinking of it now. It still took a week to complete. Hey, I guarantee its sharpness. The original sword was a good one, but I gave that fellow the finished product by saying such a thing in a polite way. Thank you. How can I reward you? It's okay. I thought that, it isn't powerful, for the powerlessness of the finished knife, so I turned around and restrained that fellow who took out gold coins. Still, it was a bit frustrating for people to be delighted with a dagger that I made for the first time and somehow I did not want to put it in business. Wait. Are you sure? It's okay. If you like it, then be silent. When I saw that person hugging the dagger, I tried to return to the workshop again. However, I was called back again. The name. I don't have any hobby to give a sword a name. Do it yourself. That's not what I mean. I want to know your name. The three-fold workshop. When I tried to mention the name of my workshop at the time, I realized that I did not use the technology one had learned in particular. It is an annoyance even if the name of the studio rises to the kindness of a mere whim. I'm Andy Smithson from Polka. Instead, I decided to give out the name of Polka for the future when I inherit my father's store. I remember that I made this strange knife for a strange person. It wasn't a strange person but me. The truth of a decade. Is there something I can understand like that? I was really happy. Well, you didn't listen to me at that time, but in my hometown, if you were given a sword by a man, it was the testimony of marriage, because you didn't receive any gold coins, you proposed to me at that time. Just a little, in any form, you won't give a free sword to the opposite sex when there is no trust. Okay, you finally remembered. 100. Man Commander pointed out the important thing to me who forgot that she was naked and then she hugged me. Since the start 100. Man Commander, what? Even about the female slave? No, that strange person at that time or 100. Man Commander now, I didn't even know that it was you or a woman. So how did I made a proposal? The 100. Man Commander who tried to jump by spreading her hands towards the front stopped. Only her tits swung with momentum. Selenium was waiting for me when I returned to my room. How did she know? Andy.San, welcome back. Yes, I'm home. Trying to say something, thinking about it, I think that I don't have to kick her out. I got it. Only for the moment, there's nothing to be guilty about. I'm your master, right? That's right. Even though she was very young, I'm thrilled with her trying to keep herself up to her childish monopoly desire forever. A kiss from nowhere. I took off my clothes. 15 years ago, we did our childish act daily. Her feeling which did not change even after so many years let me return to the lustful boy of that time. Andy.San, you changed, though you didn't change. I don't understand it. Even though you behave like a spoiled child with a strong body, the way you behave to me did not change at all. Is it bad? No, I'm happy. You are twice as cool, for me. As soon as I lifted up her breasts, I massaged the nipples that were erect with my 2 fingers. Then, I hugged her body with one hand, ate her breasts, slipped through her waistline with the other hand and touched her butt. Really, Andy.San loves me, it may be that my lewd spirit has not changed. It's okay. It is good to be Eki. And if you need me, it's good. It's really lucky for you. If Andy.San needs me, Andy.San would hold me, so I wouldn't say that we live in luxury. Since that time you hugged me hungrily, I have always loved you. Selenium held me tightly and tried to fill her loneliness even a little while being appreciated by every finger. A long separation of 15 years cannot be healed with a single hug. It's love like she said so. Andy.San. Now is the time to say. Now I can say, please have sex with me, please let me drink a cup of Andy.San's baby juice in my vagina. Despite becoming bright red, she still said such stupid words. I wonder why I regretted it. What I could not say clearly. To my nodding, Selenium crumbled her face and cried, before she gently kissed me and touched my back. Our crotches touched each other. Since when did she imagine that she would be embraced by me? Her vagina was wet from the muddy hot liquid. I was kissed and she moved my penis with her hand and set the aim. Selenium is positioning herself with her waist. And before I pushed, Selenium forced herself to sit down. Ngoo, you, I felt the penetration of Selenium at one stroke. Was it the hymen that I felt? Shortly afterwards, she pierced all the way to the bottom with her own power. Ahaha, I did it, I gave my virginity to Andy. San, hey, Selenium. Ehehe, do you understand? It's getting in firmly. There was no power in the words of Selenium that I thought that it was too painful for her, but she only showed a vague smile which looked like an idiot. However, in fact, she still laughed though it's painful. It was her saturated yell and effort that didn't want to be cared for even if it's a little painful. Ee. Looking down at me somehow scared, Selenium used her vagina which just lost its virginity, and start grinding on my meat stick. Like at that time. As usual in the past. As it is due. She started trying to learn and train herself how to please my meat stick. She loved me more than I thought. Triple A, amazing, in my belly, it seems like it's being lifted, I feel that my body is giving everything to you, I feel like I can use it for you. Incredible, you. Ehehe, thank you very much. Selenium tried to forcibly swing and shake her hips. It seems as if she was spreading the blood between our groins on purpose. It is neither cheerful nor obscene, only love affection was just overflowing. Emphasizing the religious upsurge that can pursue my pleasure at once. To such a painfully straight love, there was no chance for my penis. Angua. Come, you, put your sperm inside of me, Andy.san. I love you. Doku. My semen rushed into her like a victory song. Wiku, 100. Man commander is drunk. How much did she drink? Look Okami.san, she has a barrel of ogre killer. Terrifying person. I'm done. What's the matter, 100. Man commander? And zeros, Kidiyu, you here. 100. Man commander. Hey, the 100. Man commander has started to cry. What is that? That 100. Man commander, I'm trying to understand her words, so you think you've got your fiancé run away? No, it was a misunderstanding and he refused our engagement. I love him. Is there's a guy who's been loved by the 100. Man commander? In theory it is impossible, isn't it? If there's one thing I can say, I can't avoid doing a trial. We have a military trial. 100. Man commander, calm down, I think it's still alright because he didn't say for sure that he doesn't like you. Oh. It is known that the 100. Man commander has the best skills in our army, so that person doesn't understand that yet. Your charm. Is that so? Then, not yet, I can't give up. Kuu, Okami.san, is there a room vacant? 10. Man commander and zeros is long yearning. No, but from here, maybe 100. Man commander's maiden mode may be seen again. You idiot. Don't you want to turn 100. Man commander back to herself? It would be impossible if there were other guys. What kind of bullish attitude is that? Because you are so, you cannot do it, shut up. Her lover has to die. The 100. Man commander will be my woman. I don't know if it's going to be useless. Fukusho, I had a strange chill just now, but Selenium had fainted happily. Chapter 3. 10. Man Captain and Zero Selenium. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Crossbow Squad is located along the mountain near the border with the Trot Kingdom. The greenery is abundant, but there are no monsters, even if they appear, they are made into needle mounts by all troops, and there are a few fields. They are primly in the center of the region where no one enters. The cause of it is the long range of our crossbows. It does not become a story if they don't take a wide practice area because they always shoot from long range as much as possible. So when someone sniped a thief who had invaded once, the thief's foot was shot from far away, and the irresponsible rumor, the range of the new weapon is 30 kilometers, 100 moments away from an invisible distance, spread, and the residents living near the base didn't come close. Of course, they can't shoot an arrow that far. Anyway, it takes nearly an hour to go for a drink because it's very far from the village. The reason is that those who are weak to liquor aren't carried by their companions, but thrown away outside the bar, like me. Originally, a soldier will go to an inn that should be a nice place because it is a convenience store with a good selection, but it is something that we can rarely go to without using a horse. With nature and purchases you become a regular. If you don't do this work well you will be an associate soldier. Do not use your rank as a shield because it is not directly related to military service. But, it's a special holiday. I'll do more this time. Concerning you, would you like to spend a shameful afternoon with such a female slave? Naturally. When I put my chest up, I was stared at with a despising glance from the coachman's seat. I am sorry that I am too honest. You have not reflected at all even while kneeling on the ground. N0 is tremendously angry. Regardless of the mood of N0, the sky has a fine weather. The horse-drawn carriage is also good. I could see a flying dragon for the first time in a while. I hope there will be nice things today. Regional City Basan. It is the closest town to our position. It is along the route to Trot and it has developed rapidly recently as a trading base. It seems that trade was almost broken down for a while, so it seemed like a cold village, but Celesta was forcibly wrenched open, so it was visible and spread widely in the opposite direction. By all means, my position is like a fearful spot. Well, the crossbow is a new weapon and I'm not sure if I'm scared of a stray arrow. What is the order? Here. N0 tried to take out the parchment from his bosom, but with his hand pulled into the black armor, he looked like a turtle. Take it off. What are you saying so suddenly? N0 turned red. He's taking so long for the search, or is it more important to wear this armor? In the presence of such a public, no one will be delighted with you undressing, so go take it off in the carriage if it is a hindrance. Nah, you, moo. N0 made different faces, angry, dumbfounded, puzzled. After all the confusion, I exhaled quickly and calmed down. I looked up and opposed it. It has nothing to do with you. This armor is for my convenience. Yes, it is. But have you noticed? It's funny how a little soldier in black armor can move the body when he is stirring both arms in his chest armor. Atta. Supon, both hands are put out. It's a gag after all. First of all, there are 5 boxes of skull marks. 3 boxes of cat ears marks. 6 bottles of cheap ink. 8 ceramic cups. Then, what is this? Which one? N0 took out a parchment from behind. N0 was perplexed, so I extended my hand as a reflex and grasped the parchment and read it aloud. The latest edition of a sexy ogre and sweet elf. Wah wah. Baka. Shameless Smithson to read it aloud in the middle of the day. Both of them were famous erotic picture scrolls. In Trot, there was no such thing as an erotic picture in terms of the amount of paper production and printing technology, but the good point was that such a culture was advancing early in Celesta. But don't ask anyone like this. I wonder if they sell it. I think that it has been a year since I got the previous volume of Sweet Elf. I won't let you buy it in any case. What, do you not feel sorry for the soldiers who are looking forward to this? That's why they think about 100. Man Commander when they are in the bathroom. Oh, Okay, what are you saying, you idiot? I always think this guy is too na.ve. Is he really an adult? We had a late lunch after finishing shopping in the streets. And Zeros.san seemed to have a lot of complaints about me, and the preaching began while waiting for the cooking. And it continued while we were eating. Roughly, don't you think it's the worst thing for a man to insult a woman with a human life as a shield? It's not like insulting, at most sexual harassment. It is insulting. It is insulting. You don't have enough recognition. But we have an agreement. Half-elves are easy to be fooled. Especially unmarried half-elves are so easily swept away by heterosexual love. It doesn't change that you did a cowardly thing just by having sex and becoming a master as result. Meddling with other people's matter, you are also a half-elf. Yes. Have you ever been fooled? No, even if she says such a thing with self-confidence. I thought it was also an adoring experience for a kind married woman in the capital in order to emphasize that much. Why, are you a married woman? Somehow. Ha, and Zero sighed and wiped her mouth with a napkin. Did she notice that even if she scolds me I won't reflect on it? If you keep silent, you look as if you are mistaken for a pretty girl and 1 or 2 people will be caught by being attracted to your beautiful look. Pretty girl. And Zero stopped for a moment and blushed and wiped his mouth faster. What are you saying? I am a man. I know, but I occasionally think that the blood of an elf is unfair because it is impossible for a man to be born with such a beautiful person. Although I was telling him with jealousy, I got troubled when he looked happy. As usual, and Zeros withdrew his mouth and hid his expression under his chin guard plate, but his face seemed to be happy. I wanted to doubt that he was actually a homosexual man. I pulled the chair and opened the distance a bit. His physique is small, but this guy is really strong. I might be attacked, but I'm prepared for it. Lou, let's go home. And Zeros had a strange look, but I do not have to understand it. Please don't misunderstand. Let's keep some distance for a while so that the beast in N-Zeros does not wake up. When returning to the corp, a flying dragon was located in the training ground. I got frightened. Somehow N-Zeros tried to protect me by moving before me. He is very reliable. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Flying Dragon Service. 100. Man Commander Diane came out from the building with a tired face. Flying Dragon Service. Protective personnel's escort, haste message, special soldiers used for special reconnaissance. I never thought that one would come to our place. While relaxing my vigilance, I sought an explanation by eye from 100. Man Commander Diane. She opened her mouth while scratching her head. Emergency directive from the staff headquarters of the Northern Corps. We need to clean up the mad wolves on the Vile Pass. The messenger who appeared from the back of 100. Man Commander Diane nodded. Although the explanation was rough, it wasn't possible to ignore the eyes of the messenger, so N-Zeros and I took a saluting pose by putting our right fist in front of our left chests. The number of mad wolves. It seems to be at least 100. The border guard infantry was surprised and it was said to be a big defeat. Unfortunate, mad wolf. It is one of the typical demons in this region, and it's an ordinary wolf that was mutated by an evil influence. It becomes huge like a horse in spite of being a wolf, and the surrounding flora and fauna is eaten without any discrimination. It starts cannibalism without permission when there is no food in sight. It will starve as soon as it's the last one, while also leaving some destruction behind normally. Since the Vile Pass was a key point for traffic, it can't wait. Therefore our crossbow team got on its way. Prepare for sorting. We'll have to settle by tomorrow morning. Roger. And Zeros and I jumped into the core building by competing against each other. Midnight. A beautiful moon floats in the sky and succeeded the fine weather of the daytime. In front of the cutting of the Vile Pass, about 1 kilometer less, the crossbow corps started its tactical development there, though it was too far to see the point usually. Everyone's position. Final confirmation. Isaac's platoon is here. Williams's platoon is here. Reports continue to overlap without hesitation. It is not done loudly. Each 10-man captain responded to the 100-man commander Diane by merely whispering. It was a kind of magic mark which was processed to be easy to resonate with 100 people, and this was a secret of the strength of Celestat's crossbow corps. Smithson's platoon is here. And Zeros's platoon is ready. Good. Then, start the mission. After hearing all the reports, Diane, who stood in the lead, set out to shove her 5 fingers and casted spells with a low whisper. A band of the light which flowed like a thread from her fingertips intersected beautifully like a cloth in the air. Magic. It is a miracle technique that some races such as elves are good at. However, on the other hand, there are very few examples of use in the war. 100-man commander expresses it as challenging a sword with a flint or snowball. It is true that paranormal work can be made, but it is not realistic at all from the scale and speed of the phenomenon that is created to produce and fight fire and ice. Even the race called masterful magicians says that at best it shows about an illusion and makes a gap. It is a work that is too unreliable. However, the crossbow team was able to increase its dramatic strength by using magic together. Prepare to shoot. For example, vision improvement. You can visually recognize a target that is 1 kilometer ahead. There is no one who cannot see the target. And target designation. With the application of illusion, the next target to be shot is pointed so as not to interfere with the view, overlapping the field of view. An ogre comes up and sets up 1 crossbow in each of its hands. Dwarves use the crossbow like a gunshot tailored for rocks and firmly aimed. Shoot. Gaga gaga gaga. Steel arrows cut through the night sky. The arrows which flew from the distance so as not to be able to feel even bloodlust is efficiently violent, and mad demons were killed in a moment. The hit rate of a crossbow doesn't compare with a bow and arrow. On top of that, we have a vision comparable to the precious goggles of the dwarves, a certain target designation and control shooting based on attack instructions. The start was slow and the effect was magic, which was low, but it could have a terrible effect as an aid for shooting. I understood why the elves in the North Forest were so strong. With such a guide, a human heart is bigger than a horse. But the formidable one is the ability of 100-man commander Diane to realize the power in a 100-man corps, the power of imagination and the crossbows that achieves this hit rate. I was really glad that I wasn't fighting directly, and I am thankful for slaughtering the mad wolves one by one. Kai. 100-man commander. At the end of the slaughter, Diane clicked her tongue, putting out an order with a hand signal to N0s that was behind her. This can be transmitted more quickly and reliably than words. It was a situation that it was urgent. When I stealthily looked at the signal with a sideways glance, the contents are like this. Shot out, something comes from the left bush. Goo. In a hurry, I stopped winding the strings and tumbled toward the center of the squad. The leftmost wing was me. Immediately after, the eyes of a mad wolf that looked like it was burning from the bush were seen and its fangs popped out. And Zeros was casually intercepting. Chia. 1 hit to the mouth of that mad wolf and its fangs were knocked out. The sword he uses is a short sword that is overwhelmingly small and affordable compared to his large black armor. Still, as long as it is a sword, and Zeros, our ace knight, is considered to have the power to rival 5 full-armed ogres. Take this. Zong. The returning sword cut the neck of the mad wolf, who was shocked about having its fangs knocked off. For a moment, a dwarf and a wolf without a head fell on the ground. And Zeros waved his sword to remove the blood and slowly raised it for a small prayer. It's our ace knight's single combat victory ritual. The battle ended in only 7 minutes. No one was hurt and the battle ended safely. Overwhelming victory. Now, my companions are going to clean up the dead mad wolves. And as for me, the last guy's blood was stained on me, and with the permission of 100-man commander I came to a nearby pond to wash it away. Eehee. Yes, please undress for me. Selenium also appeared at the same time. It seems she has sneaked into the wagon, though I said, because it is a military affair, you should not follow absolutely, before sorting. She said that she was trying to jump out with a momentary crisis in battle. I think that I should endure well when I think of what to say to N-Zeros when I do such a thing. Here. It was great. Hoo hoo. I think that it is not a thing to praise separately, but I praised her once and stroked her head. Selenium smiled like a cat. I think she is very childish. Well, it's attached with blood. That. And maybe it's natural. We decided to wash Selenium's clothes together and we got naked in the pond. The moonlight shined brightly and reflected on the water surface. The whole nakedness of Selenium seen in the clear atmosphere of the mountain was bashfully mysterious and artistic, yet it certainly felt like a dynamic life force. In the wilderness, Selenium and I were naked, which was out of place. While watching the innocent smile of Selenium, my lower body was starting to rise. Eehee. Selenium. Do you want to have sex? Is it okay? It's okay. You can do anything you want with me anytime, anywhere. 'Cause I'm a female slave. She does everything I want to do. I try to dedicate more than I want. It's weird and scary at times. I think it's an excuse to say that she loves me, so much that I think she had just thrown herself away because she hates everything for some reason. Weather somehow felt such a question. Selenium laughed with a complicated face. Andy.San, I'm a half-elf. I don't have anything. No matter where you are, I can't have anything. I can't walk alone if you don't want to bring me with you. On top of that, I'm a human imitation, a fake elf, a fake national, a fake monster. So, for example, if you find something true, you and I are full of fakes, no worries. After I'm thrown away, I don't need anything, so I want the real thing. That, me. No, it is a feeling that I like you. Maybe it's a real, genuine passion. My first encounter with you was strange, oh my God, I know. But at the start or the end, it doesn't matter what I like. While guiding my hand to her chest, as usual, it forcibly fit in my arms and sinking in the water, Selenium continued to whisper. A half-elf friend of mine said, let's be a female slave. What? Even if you are taken by someone you don't know, even if you lose everything, I will be by your side, I will be yours until you die. One beat. You bought me with love, like buying a slave with money. As slaves work to be free, I love you for being bound. That's what we say about a female slave. It's a very happy life. I don't know. You don't have to know. That's what other people's happiness is. There is no mockery or disappointment for her who smiled happily. She is just happy that it feels pleasant. She may be crazy and morbid when seen by others, but it's normal for me. There is no shortage of happiness. Selenium had no other choice but to convince me now. Can I put it in? Yes. Andy.San, I love you. Rising from the water, I bring my hips closer to her, but her body was so beautiful as it was illuminated by the fantastic moonlight and was covered by a thin pale light. I was unusually excited by the fact that such a beautiful girl was looking forward to being messed up by me. Hua, A, AAA, HIAA. K, Ku. I went in and out of Selenium's hot vagina. Both her skin and vagina get hot as it burns soon and is cold the moment it is touched. I felt like her. As if she was held embarrassed on that snowy day, she was driven by the passion to give her a life without doing anything. I moved my hips. Pahan, pahan, and the water above the knees made a sound according to the movement of my waist. triple A, 3. Good. Do you feel good? Yes, I feel good, I have been waiting for this. I thought that I will be fucked by Andy.san again all day. You are a perverted female slave. Yes. I'm a pervert. It's okay to be a pervert. It's okay to be disdained by everything except for Andy.san, I'm a crazy female slave obsessed with Andy.san. Ah, that's fine, that's fine. I shook my hips. We have sex so that I see Selenium's arms like depriving a horse of its freedom by pulling the reins. Even Selenium was willing to put out her tongue. She was begging for a kiss with me and tightened her pussy while pushing her hips down. That brisk movement is way too good, I still cannot bear it because I am too inexperienced. You, Ku, come out, it comes out. Yes, please put it out. You can release it inside, my womb is just for giving birth to a baby, so please pour it in steadily, anytime, anywhere. I waited for this. Nku. After all, a bit crazy and a bit too heavy love. But for me who did not know how to be loved by girls, even such a love is happy. Doken, and also today I severely ejaculated. Hua, triple A, I'm happy, you, Selenium muttered and collapsed. I held her from behind, still being connected, we laid down and flowed on the water together while looking up at the moon. After a while, I heard footsteps. Wait. I controlled Selenium that seems to be rising and let her drift as it is. If you were looking for someone who came to find it, the result will be the same even if you go back to the shore in a panic. It was a calculation to bet on the possibility of overwhelming even a little. It seems like a long time running on the shore. And, as I decided to do so, I hear a clattering sound. And rustling of clothes and a little sigh. I was certain that it was not a companion who came to find me. I wondered who it was, and when I raised my head, I made a sound and the other party turned around. Very long hair and a delicate body. A modest chest and long ears. S.M. Smithson. Who Ednell.co and that elf-like girl called my name even though I don't know her. A bloody black armor and a short sword were seen from the edge of my sight, but the girl in front of me was too little and didn't look like the person I have in mind. Chapter 4. Casualty Discovery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Na. As soon as she saw my face, the elf-like girl became bright red. Walking a few steps back in the pond, she slipped and swung both hands with full power. Cal, calm down. Looking at my face. No, she isn't looking at my face. If I follow her eyes well, it is not my face. Ah. Yeah. It was my crotch that Selenium was sucking. This, shameless Smithson. She grabbed the wooden stick that was around, jumped into the air with confusion, turned around lengthwise with a rough movement ignoring the axis of her body. The wooden stick strikes on the water as it is. Basha. Zaba. Uo. Apart from the water pillar caused by the wooden stick strike, the water column was split apart and the water column went straight ahead as if a giant scratched the water surface with its finger 5 meter long extending towards us. Selenium and I got up in a hurry, and we separated to evacuate from the water column. Nevertheless, I was blown away by wind pressure. Yokaru. You are N-Zeros. I was convinced at last by this strange sword skill. This girl is N-Zeros. Who else should I? The long-haired naked elf girl was silent for a couple of seconds before she checked her body and her own hair that was spreading quickly. She got confused further and raised a cry before she threw the stick straight at me. Ogu, Andy.san. While spinning, it exactly hit my temple. It hurt so terribly. This shameless man. Shameless man. We finally calmly faced each other after wearing our underwear. No, I really wanted to wear proper clothes, but the clothes are so tight. The circumstances were the same for N0's, the armor which she always wears were hanging down on the tree branch while dripping with water. And wearing a bloody chest armor on top of her underwear, it was a very crazy state. You were really a woman. Shameless man, shameless man, shameless man. Talk to me. Ha. N0's was somewhat sulking. She didn't hold a serious look while diverting her line of sight from me. As I looked at her, selenium in her underwear flared up as usual. Even you are shameless. No. You have pretended to be a boy. So far you've seen Andy's defenseless appearance all the time up till now. Nah, different. It was a criticism from a fresh perspective, and N0 stuttered. Don't stutter. Andy.san is doing something fairly agreed upon. N0's.san who had been peeking is much more shameless. Ooh. No, wait a minute. The super theory of selenium was useless indeed. I mean, it's not good to know who was more shameless. Why are you dressed like that? Her hair that had spread a long time ago was not conspicuous when wearing an armor. It was packed and tied and her hair was put together under the armor like a rope bundle. And the too big armor hides her physique, hiding to the extent to which her shoulders and chest are inconspicuous, but even so, it is a splendid cross-dressing because no one really noticed. I am from the royal city of Trot. Ah. While diverting her eyes, N0's buried her mouth in the chin guard plate and speaks with a muffled voice as usual. You will know that there is a half-elf discrimination in Trot. Ah. But when I was a child, I wanted to be a sword saint. The young N0's grew up in the house of her mother who was a wealthy merchant. It was unusual as a half-elf, but it was a very blessed family environment. There was not a single inconvenience in the house, but she was forced to live outside. Of course she had almost no friends, she also seemed to have a girlhood who cannot imagine what she was going to become in the future, while receiving a gifted education from a family tutor who was invited from a foreign country such as Celesta. A person from Trot would surely make fun of a half-girl. The turning point of N0's life was the imperial game held in the arena of the capital. The trump card of Trot Kingdom, which consists of various races, was the Swordmaster Brigade that shows many of its brilliant skills. N0's was touched by their splendor and racial freedom. There were some elves in the Swordmaster Brigade. She can do this. She can become one herself. N0's thought so and begged her mother who was with her to invite a sword master who will teach her fencing and she would bet her life to the sword after. By the way, what is the imperial match? 15 years ago it was the time of expansion of the swordmaster match. I see. Andy.san, what do you mean? At that time, or else that year, there was an elf swordmaster. I remembered that at the workshop that I worked on they produced a prototype of light armor for elves and my masters were very busy. It was just the year I entered the workshop. In the guise of a cultural exchange with the Half-elves Empire in the west of Trot, 50 students called paladins were having an exchange with 50 swordmasters of Trot. Well, I don't know much about politics, but in short, our swordsmen are so strong and this is just the tip of the iceberg. It seems to have become an event with the intention to intimidate each other. In that year, the match was also gorgeous compared to the usual year, which seems to have been a show-off between the Swordmasters Brigade and the Paladins. It was a big event like a royal marriage. So, the Half-elves Empire has a friendly relationship with the local forest elves. It is quite abundant that there are quite a lot of elves who become swordmasters or paladins with mastery of longevity like our 100-man commander. In fact, about 20 out of 50 paladins were elves. And the NA.VEN0s saw it and misunderstood it. Because her mother didn't care about the military, at any rate, it was difficult for her daughter. A few years later, N0's, who improved her swordsmanship greatly competed in the preliminary selection of becoming a triumphant swordmaster. Then, and Zeros, who was beaten black and blue, realized the extent of the world. I teased her in a troubadour manner. I wasn't defeated. I was the winner as the fellow who used brute force. And Zeros was disappointed. A few days later a messenger came to my house and disqualified me. Why? Because I was a half-elf, a female, and a little girl. Ha! I tell you the truth. And Zeros was reminiscing her regret and went out of her way. Because she was only wearing her underwear under her armor, and Zeros was troubled that her small chest was visible because of the too big armor. And Zeros's mother, who heard it, seemed to be very angry and hit the messenger with a chair. Even if such a thing is done, a messenger only conveys the message. It is an unfortunate story. And Zeros's mother advised her to go to Celesta. There is few racial discrimination in Celesta, and it is easy to live because of her mother's personal connections. The title of Ace Knight is equivalent to being a swordmaster of Trot. That's why Zeros decided to depart. However, having a serious trauma being a half-elf, a woman, or a little girl, and Zeros concealed her identity with her current style. She always wears the too big armor inherited from her family and her long hair is hidden in it. The hair is a woman's treasure indeed, and it seems that her mother stopped her from cutting it, and hide her ears with a custom-made helmet. It is said that she entered Celesta through a third country next to the mountains range of the east. That was 10 years ago. It was at the time when I made that strange knife for a strange person who was the 100-man Commander Diane. I have a question. What? I never saw you wearing a helmet. In Celesta, I didn't need it because half-elf discrimination was loose. I ceased to wear it after becoming an Ace Knight. There is hardly any discrimination in Celesta even against women. It cannot be helped. For the time being, I became an Ace Knight as a man and I was assigned to the crossbow team just after that. Do you know a woman who can live forever in such a man's garden? I tried to say 100-man Commander Diane, but it certainly is too extraordinary. Mentally and physically, in terms of combat power rather than boobs, as well. But if you talk about it before assigning, you wouldn't have to play a man for a long time. That might be true. You often said that I'm bad. Shut up. I'm worried. After talking about everything, and Zeros is exhausted. You have a good mother. Selenium had finished listening to our conversation with teary eyes. Which reminds me. You, after all, did you participate in the war with the Trot Kingdom? Well, that's true. I heard something bad. No one would want to do a war that might kill their parents. However, having Zeros here means that she couldn't give up her dream even if she is pressed. She already belongs to the Celesta army because the war with Trot has already ended, so if there is a possibility that Trot will be becoming an enemy in the future when Celesta is attacked by another enemy, then she won't do anything. And Zeros would laugh at it. My mother will probably not be killed, because it will be politically indiscreet to kill her. Political. I think it is quite famous. Don't you know the Sylphid Company? It is a large company of Trot that has business relations with many countries including Celesta and a film. I have heard of it. It is because the value of the Sylphid Company is too large and Trot isn't so miserable in spite of being a defeated country. I heard the head of the company is a woman. You're an incredible daughter, I will treat you to something next time. Do you think that it is necessary to treat me? By the way, it seems to be audible that the bloodlust of the calm Zeros is burning up a little. At such a time in such a place you're doing such a shameless thing, keep looking at my naked body. What's with this super stupid I will treat you bastard? She pulled out her short sword. I protected my head with my crossbow unintentionally. However, with one beat, Zeros sighed and poked my head with the short sword. Well, I don't have anything to do with you, I will forgive you by giving me a drink at the usual bar. Zeros laughs a little gently. I was frightened by her shy smile which I had not seen before. Selenium is blistered. And then. Are you done talking? A voice suddenly came from behind and I trembled. Even though there should be no one except us. As I turned around, 100-man Commander Diane was there. Why are you here? I wasn't too late to hear a small interesting story. With a little grin, I'm pecked by the ears. I was taken aback. Come to think of it, the crossbow stock is an ear replacement for 100-man Commander Diane. Did you hear everything? Yup. And Zeros turns pale. I couldn't say it. Sex impersonation might not be troublesome. Well, I knew you were a woman, didn't I? 100-man Commander laughed devilish. Well, keep explaining 10-man Captain. At that point, the companions from the Corps eavesdropped and made up a thumb-up sign. There are quite a lot. And now N-Zeros was in a sexy shot of underwear plus armor. N-Zeros turned pale and our companions laugh at the same time. 10-man Captain N-Zeros. Please marry me. Oh, I want an impure sex relationship with you. Not good. N-Zeros. I love you. 10-man Captain. Ha 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 Jew, 10-man Captain. Passing through the side of me and Selenium, our companions rushed towards N-Zeros. No, stop, don't come near, don't touch me, I will kill you, idiots. Listen, you shameless bastards. Smithson, help me, no. As one would expect from the ace knight. She was really strong. It seems that she was terribly tired. 10-man Captain N-Zeros actually is a woman. This news swept across the Corps within minutes. They should have worked in a dispersed way. It is reliable because my companions work together to spread it. And suddenly N-Zeros rose up to the top of our Corps popularity ranking with Selenium and 100-man Commander Diane. Selenium.Chan is 10-man Captain Smithson's female slave. Which means she is already taken. Damn bastard. I heard that even 100-man Commander Diane is in a relationship with her fiancé. However 10-man Captain N-Zeros is still free, a native-born heroine. If you look closely, she is in no way inferior to 100-man Commander Diane. I don't care if she is a man or a woman. No, she is scared of us. There are a lot of singles who are starving because this is a comparatively new Corps. And Smithson, accompany me for patrol. I can't accompany you. I am tired because I was cleaning the building. Shut up and accompany me. I'm scared that there will be someone jumping at me suddenly while being naked. I seem to be the one responsible for N-Zeros' exposed secret, so I'm treated like a guardian, or better said, a follower. What if I jump at you naked? Don't do it. Don't do it. I will chop your thing off. I am sorry for making a joke. Well, in my case, I have a reputation for the lack of physical strength in the crossbow corps, natural because it's a technical system, but I'm sure of it. I always trust that I was good at it, I want to think so. But you have come to look like that, so you should fix your wording as well. And Zeros began walking without wearing her armor from time to time. In such a case she won't tie up her long hair and let it flutter. I think that her hair is so beautiful that I couldn't believe she was hiding wildly for a long time. After all, I think that the blood of an elf is unfair. Besides, I haven't admitted that I am a woman. Now I'm just admitting that I'm not a man. I don't know the difference. It's completely different. Definitely different. Heaven and earth. It's refreshing. I will keep using that armor firmly, that is my pride. Yes, I think that it would be better to re-tailor it, I don't want it. I might not be able to understand the logic of half-elves. The moon is beautiful tonight. I jumped in the bath and took a breather. After cleaning, I accompanied N-Zeros on patrol, and after, it was time to go to bed. Not only maintenance and training, the crossbow corps also has physical strength training. There is no one who stays up too late. The big bath is only for me now. I wonder how N0 is taking a bath. She probably doesn't. She seems to have bathed in the mountain or secretly in Bassin's public bathhouse. I have seen her a couple of times. Dua. The 100-man commander stood soundlessly behind me. When turning around in surprise, she came near me with a smile. Even dwarfs and ogres will take a bath during the week, and as she didn't show up when the half-elves were bathing, I knew she's a woman, but I didn't care. I see, but why is 100-man commander taking a bath so late? It's my second time. And I wanted to talk a bit with you. Somewhat close. Our shoulders seem to touch each other. It is unbelievable that I can see her breasts at the edge of my sight, as expected. Recently, if you are in your room, your female slave will be there, and otherwise N0 is sticking to you. I don't have a chance to talk to you other than in the bath. Well, that's right. Watch out on how to get away from N0. She is a half-elf who is wealthy and has enough love for her parents. If you give her a little affection, she won't be able to go back soon. Ha! A casual erection has come. I hope she won't misunderstand it. Now to the real issue. Do you know that the dark elf spirituality is often said to be close to half-elves? No, not really. Calm down. Calm down. Come to think of it, you were from Trot. You don't know the dark elf's temper and life. That's right. A dark elf is said to be an elf heretic, a species being in the same nature as a beast. It is only speculation because there is no proof, but the fact is that we are looked down at by the elves for a long time now. We are called a lonely race that is an elf, but not really an elf. Putting her elbow on the edge of the bathtub, 100-man commander talks in a comfortable way. She is too bad at concealing her big and good-shaped breasts. At least the distance is so far away that I can masturbate. I can understand the feelings of little lands and go to. That's all. Once you fall in love with the opposite sex, the loving features are similar to half-elves. I don't want to return again if I have to float my feet from there for a minute of solitude. Well, I thought I was quite special, but I'm a typical dark elf. Suddenly, when raising up her body, 100-man commander headed towards me and she caught my lips tightly soon after she stopped talking. Nguten. I admit it was a misunderstanding. But in my misunderstanding, I've been trying to marry you for 10 years already. I was just thinking about holding you. Prepare yourself, Andy Smithson. The half may not leave you, but I won't let go of you, well, even if such a thing is told, 100-man commander, please move a little away. You can call me Diane.San, not a 100-man commander. Think about it. Diane, San. I think he is actually stuttering her name here. It sounds a bit awkward, but I will be angry if you don't call me Diane when we two are alone. I understood, so please let go of me. I think I don't want to do that at all. Coward. Hey, don't worry about the erection. Energetic things are good. Are you violating me? That's it. It's a good idea. Chatter. Thank you. If you don't take a bath for many days, Andy.San will be unpleasant. It's nothing. When I told you to take a bath with Smithson in the bath of the core house, it was only because I was related to the disciplinary committee. There are other places where you can take a bath. Thank you very much, and Zeros.San is a surprisingly nice person, right? It is selfish to think that unexpectedly, but it does not mean that we are friends. Well, I'm sorry. Pasha. Selenium. Smithson, we are doing it 3 times a day. Know that, really. He has quite a breasts fetish. Fetish. He loves boobs. Really? Hoo hoo. Don't be elated with your success. You are an ungrateful woman. I am not triumphant. It doesn't matter to N0s.san. Surprisingly, you are aggressive. You think so? Well, it is so. Is it paranoia, or will you acknowledge that N0s is related to this? That's not it. Hoo 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 hoo. Do not laugh at me. No, you're cute. What cute? You don't have to have such a complicated and happy face. It is wrong. I feel like Andy.san knows how cute you are. That's wrong. I don't remember being cute. That's too bad. Cool. What is this defeated feeling? Chapter 5. Who are you? Diane, you are listening at novelfull.audio. 100. Man Commander, no, Diane.san moved her hand to my body as soon as she leaned on me. Yato. Holding me tightly with a light cheer, my body suddenly had a strange feeling. I didn't feel like I was pushed or pulled. I was pulled out from the hot spring and floated slightly, ignoring gravity. Diane.san rotated me sideways in the air. And 100. Man Commander's long feet arrived in the washing space and I was swayed around while being hugged. Nah. It will be bad if the bath water becomes dirty, and it's also inconvenient if my nasty juice is mixed inside while trying to do it in the bath. Are you really motivated? Did you think that I was joking? How sad. No, normally, Ngu. Just before the rotation settled, Diane.san bended her knees and I felt like being thrown into the washroom. Until the end, Diane.san took the mount in a natural way without releasing her arms from me and putting her lips on mine. Hoo-hoo, it is sweet. It's been a while since I've been throbbing to expose my skin to a man. You, steel yourself, Andy Smithson. You made me serious, so this is your punishment. Well, what kind of logic is that? Give up thinking and let's have sex like dogs. Hey. I'm being violated. I tried to pass it as a joke, unwilling to give up, while Diane.san completely disregarded it and didn't let me go. You. Good boy. You know what, I won't lose. Leave it to me. I gave up and relaxed, which is seen by Diane. Released her arms which were hugging me. She left a kiss on my cheek with a shy face and she slid down to my lower body. It's energetic, I'm used to it, but I feel deeply grateful that this will pierce me. She sighs while stroking my aroused penis. And in the end, she tightly caught it in her rich chest. Wah. I raised a surprised voice unintentionally to the sudden event. Seeing my reaction, Diane San had a nasty smile. It is a surprise for someone like you who likes breasts. Didn't you let your female slave do it? Yes, I exclusively rub them. Is that so? Then your titty fuck virginity is mine. I'm leading with 1 point. What? Before long, Diane.san begins to rub my dick with her chest. Huanyu, soft and wavy breasts try to pinch my dick little by little. Hoo-hoo, you don't look really honest. How about this? You, this time, the upper body is sliding and it is made to reciprocate between her breast by a long stroke. Comfortable. Diane.san's body doesn't seem to be 200 years old, though it is natural because she is an elf. It is fresh and her waist, which is different from her great breasts, stimulates my most vulgar organ. Hey, what are you enduring for? Endurance. I'm wondering a lot since a while ago. You want to release it, don't you? You can ejaculate on my chest anytime, so don't hold back. You. A faint sense of guilt. An overwhelming feeling of elation. That 100. Man. Commander Diane.san is serving me. She is tempting me like a prostitute. My penis is releasing pre-da cum only by that fact. If the actual pleasure is combined, I'm not sure if I can endure for so long. You, who? Bucku. 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 In the end, I exploded my sexual desire among Diane.San's breasts. Oh, haha, is this an ejaculation? San, I saw many men who masturbate when seeing my body, but when I try to take themselves like this, hoo, they are too wasteful. You should be pleased when you take a bath with a woman. With a flushed face and uplifting eyes, Diane.San murmured. From her words, something feels uncomfortable, but with my misty consciousness because of the after effect of the titty fuck and the bath, it wasn't a settled doubt. It is said that it will wither once you cummed. As expected from Smithson. And the hardness of my dick came back after a moment. Recently, I noticed that my energy is quite strong. Although I was out of strength when I ejaculated 3 times a day before, now have room after having sex with selenium day after day. The stamina of moving empties faster than the energy of my dick getting tired. I don't think that I'm just a soldier now, because of selenium and now Diane.San. Really dependable. I seem to be popular. Well then, shall we do the real thing now? Are we really going to have sex? Don't make me say it again and again. Diane.San straddles over my lap. She spreads her vagina to place it on my penis, which recovered after ejaculating. The inside is a beautiful pink that impresses me and fuels my son further. Good, Diane.San, who stopped temporarily at the point of contact, motivated herself. The sense of incompatibility earlier let me realize something. No way. No way. Could it be, Diane.San, is this your first time? Diane.San suddenly stopped. Is it bad? Boo, but, you have abruptly done a titty fuck. Shut up. If you are 200 years old, your ears will grow. Diane.San is getting red and angry. Somehow or another, I understand. I was wondering if there was such a good story. Really. I thought maybe this person was ashamed of being a virgin. I'm just a good first-time partner, I mean, a toy. I was quite disappointed. I can't tell people. Even though I use selenium as a toy. Diane.San, no, I wanted to think that 100. Man Commander was a more pure and virtuous person. What? Is that so? What's the matter, Smithson? It seems that the 100. Man Commander was worried about me, who got depressed like water suddenly. She doesn't want me to have such a face. She has no qualification to do so. Despair went out of my mouth. If so, please say it. What are you talking about? I'm just a toy for the 100. Man Commander, right? What do you mean? Just wanting to experience sex. If that's what it is, I don't need a superb logical reason. I'm just a normal lecher. This dark elf's temper, somehow, I don't want you to, Smithson. While I argued vehemently, did 100. Man Commander control herself not to cry? You think that I am such a woman? Her eyes were serious and were too pure. I realized that I made a terrible misunderstanding. I noticed that I have said something terrible. How can you believe that? 100. Man Commander. Why don't you call me Diane? Do you believe that I'm serious about being your wife? Of course, if you say I shall give birth, I will yield. If you say I only shall think about you, I will quit the military right now. How can you understand how I have been thinking for 10 years? Crying, she appealed in a trembling voice. But I'm a coward, a small citizen, a helpless human. I'm not someone who can believe such a thing. I cannot help doubting it. I only have to understand that fact. I'm just a tiny human being that is as tall as selenium. Just because I made a sword for free, I don't think that it's a nice story to be liked by someone like the 100-man commander. I don't think that's a reason for receiving your heart and body. You can still convince me that I'm chosen to be a toy to let you throw away your virginity. I am such a small person. I apologize for letting you down, but I'm just a human. The 100-man commander nodded quietly. She released her hand that was holding my excellent thing, and I was raised in her arms. She started to whisper with gentle eyes. Wrong. Yes, you're a human. However, you aren't able to understand us. Yes, I'm sorry. No, it's fine, I'm sorry too, to put all the fault on you. I was overwhelmed by the general consideration of dark elves. I'm myself. Even though the customs and the tribes were unrelated to it, I felt like I could explain them all. 100-man commander. Let's be honest, I've loved you ever since you came to the Corps. It was only by chance, but I was glad that you were the boy who made my beloved sword. I love you. I love your weakness, kindness, honesty, and bravery. I misunderstood it with tribal customs. I'm sorry. A serious confession that had been changed since the pretense of the past. She was the same as the selfless Selenium. She told me her naked feelings at the risk of her life. When I heard this, I can't misunderstand that she is a foolish woman. I don't want you to be taken away by that girl. I don't want to lose you. So please embrace me first of all, give me a chance to make an effort as your woman. I understand. Diane.San, I want to have sex with Diane.San. Ravish me. And this time we embraced ardently, got entangled with each other and fell down. I grabbed Diane's butt and tried to spread it with both hands. Her genital, which was secretly releasing love nectar at the moment of spreading, wriggled as if it desired a man, which looked unlikely for a virgin. I will enter. Yes. Listening to Diane's reply without any hesitation, I buried my dick inside her hot vagina. I trembled. Even though the glands had not yet entered, Diane's vagina that was trying to swallow greedily was outstanding. Even if I don't push inside, when I just do this, I will ejaculate in a few minutes. A black, supple, beast-like thing. Diane's virginity was penetrated by brute force gradually. She forced herself to awake her woman's function after a long sleep. Just for me to taste. Ha, Smithson, no, Andy, me, enter inside. Enter, I will break in. Boo, I feel it. A stiff spine. Swaying breasts. I forcibly advanced through the tense vagina. Oh, it hurts. I entered. I went deep inside. I finally buried myself in this light brown body that I longed for. I was too excited about that. Aha. Buku. Bayou. Insensible. I have shot my semen into Diane.San's womb, though I haven't even done a round trip. No matter how you look at it, it was too fast. To my great austerity, I lost my words. Baka, suddenly putting it out, so, sorry, were you too excited? Looking at her, Diane.San was really smiling happily. I saw it in my dreams, Smithson's, Andy's child. Is that so? Yeah, that's it. I love this feeling. I'm sure she hasn't issued any pain yet. As evidence, Diane.San's vagina is completely out of power. And yet she looks like a happy woman while stroking her belly. It was such a spectacle that I was really sorry that I doubted her feelings even a little. A few days after that, Diane.San and I haven't changed anything on the surface. Originally Diane.San is busy, and I am the humble 10-man captain who is free as usual. However, from time to time, Diane.San decides to be alone with me and commands it with a loud tone. Andy, massage my shoulders. Yes, there, more in front. More. More in front, put your love and respect for your boss in your massage. However, 100. Man Commander. Please call me by my name. Diane.San, I think this isn't your shoulders but your boobs. Do you hate it? I love it. Alright. We can't have sex so easily, but this is a spice for each of us. It sometimes burns when it leads to insertion. Besides that, Selenium was also my slave, and when I have time, I'm still delighted to have a sex life with her. I thought that I was living a cursed life, but since I do not see words to encourage decisions from either side, I was happy. I guess it's okay, but Selenium seemed to know somehow and keep silent. Andy.sa.n, yes. That. I'm your female slave. I will cry if you decrease the frequency. I understand. In a sense, it is bad for the stomach. I wonder if this is really fine. It was still too bad for Selenium to appear in the crossbow corps, so she recently started to help with the management of the corps. Diane.San seemed to have her hands in this matter. And Selenium turned out to be a surprising talent. Selenium, can you use recovery magic? Yes. She seemed to be good with medical treatment magic, which is a kind of magic. A magic that activates the life force of the surgeon and gives it to those who are hurt. Even though the effect is not a big deal, so it is not very useful for deep injuries, but still, it is a fun thing to eliminate a slight blemish, especially for the new associate soldiers who are not accustomed in handling crossbows and treat Selenium like a goddess. Not interesting for a moment. Are you jealous? A little. I'm happy. It's unpleasant, so please do that kind of love talk when you're alone. I was astonished by N0's. Yes, the next person. Please take care of me. Yes, please wait a moment. Magoo, Selenium mixed medicinal herbs in front of a patient and made a salad. The herb is a kind of wild grass that grows around here and which is usually not more effective than an ordinary medicine. However, the vitality generated by such a medicinal plant seemed to be important when Selenium uses the medical treatment technique. She seems to be able to use it by converting it into the recuperative power as soon as it's eaten. Yes, it healed. Selenium held her hands. The blood on the finger of the associate soldier disappeared in seconds. Oh, great. It's useful for this half-elf's long journey. Good. We flirted at the medical office. The associate soldier who received the treatment left with a slightly disappointed face. Wonderful. I have difficulty seeing it. Selenium responded to the mutter of N0's. Is this a technique that starts activating your vitality freely? Yes, when you travel alone you can use that, even with a minor injury it will work. I see, it looks convenient. Does N0's.San also want to learn it? It is not difficult. N0's had a difficult face. Perhaps she was not good with magic. Well, a half-elf has a 1/3 percentage to have a magic talent. But if you had this kind of technique, why didn't you use it on your friends? Selenium should have asked for food in Polka to save her friends. Even though it is not effective for major injuries, I think that if you can afford to travel it seems to be a little useful. In that case, I didn't eat much, so even if I tried to put in energy from the outside it was difficult. Really. I wonder if Selenium at that time was fasting for some reason. It was a little strange, but she is a half-elf. It is no wonder if there is something I don't know. N0 still had a difficult face and was observing Selenium. Pasha. Zappa. What's wrong, N0's.San, are not you going to take a bath? No, I'd like to see the moon for a while. I will join in a while later. Chapun. N0's profile. Selenium's nude body. N0's took a glance before she opened her mouth. Selenium. What? I have been worrying about it all the time recently. Can I ask you something? Me. Yes, I think that you're pretty well trained and there was once a thing that was cut with a sword. Especially since I came to Celesta in my battle form. An ace knight can't wear a helmet so much, so doing it in that style, I've cut my ears off. It is painful. Blunder. Well, it was the sword wound of a swordsman, but elf's blood is pretty amazing. No, it should be called sarcasm. Even if you cut off your ear, it will grow like this. The form is slightly different, but it has grown. One beat. The ear of an elf is a part with a high regenerative power, I was curious. The wound on your ear, the wound that you have for more than 15 years, is healing too slow. Selenium put a hand on her left ear. The ear with the cut wound from a knife. Why is it such a sharp wound? If you used the medical treatment technique, I think that it would have disappeared a long time ago. There are still things to be worried about. According to Smithson's story, you were traveling with friends. Saying that you were fully healed in Polka, why are you acting alone without your friends right now? Isn't it unnatural for me to talk about the characteristics of lonely half-elves? You've been looking for Smithson for a while now. If you looked for him immediately, even if you put in the calculation of places that are forbidden to enter, it takes 3 years to look around Trot. In Celesta, half-elves will be able to move freely, so you can find a major city in 1 year. And Zeros paused. Confirming that Selenium has no objections, she continued, you haven't done so at once, only after 15 years have passed. Even if you moved at the time of war, it would be earlier. If you were worried, it would have worked. If you plan to wait, you should not be bothered for 2 or 3 decades as a half-elf, because I wanted to see him badly, so I couldn't stay still and wait for him to come, and Zeros has a grim face directed toward Selenium. Selenium tried to make excuses but decided to give up and closed her eyes. Are you trying to separate me and Andy.San? Her eyes were full of horrifying feelings not seen by Selenium before. No, she knew this kind of feeling. In the midst of sex, there were a few occasions where she showed an enthusiastic light at times. Without a falter, and Zeros took a dignified glance. I'm Smithson's friend. I want to ask you as a friend of Smithson. And Zeros put her hand on the handle of her short sword. Who are you? Chapter 6. The truth about the girl from the past. Selenium, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Who are you? The tough voice of Zeros was absorbed into the forest and the water surface. Selenium's eyes were changing as if she saw an enemy. Until a couple of seconds ago, her naked body that looked sensuous and unpleasant became like the muscles of a Felidae which now accumulated power to attack soon. What are you planning to do? I am Smithson's friend. If necessary, I will pull out my sword. That's it. The sense of urgency increased. When this tension exceeds 1 point, either one will be injured. The premonition rose with sharpness. And Zeros is strong. She is an ace knight who has the fighting power of more than 25 human soldiers. The most vicious part is her outstanding offensive power, and if she gets serious, then Selenium will be torn apart in a moment. Even if Selenium has the power to counter her, I don't want to see her and Zeros die a horrible death. Nausea came up to my imagination of their death, and I touched the tree beside me with my hands. The slight tremor of the tree was felt by Selenium, causing a momentary gap for the impatient Zeros. Selenium quickly bent her body and touched the water with both hands. No, she will be slashed. However, from under her hands, a sheet of spray rose up visibly. And Zeros's reaction was delayed for a moment. While stepping down, the sheet of spray filled the view and produced a kind of smoke screen. Magic, Shoo, Peya. And Zeros danced and braked the void with her short sword while rotating her body compactly. The trajectory of that sword laid in the momentum and spread. It tore the space filled with the smoke in a flash. It was the same technique as N0's water column skill to create some confusion. The Ace Knight's sword pressure literally tricks the void and allows her to trick the enemy. And in the sight that was swayed by the sword, there was no selenium anymore. Of course. Naturally. It is difficult to defeat N0's by thinking normally. Even if you defeat her, the position gets worse and it makes no sense at all. Then you have to run away. But how did she run away? Where is she going? What to do next? Smithson. N0's. Sorry. No, I was a little hasty. I should have been calm and asked a little more. N0's looked really sorry. She seemed to be calm from the beginning of the unwavering questioning, but was there a little more gentle motivation, too? Let's search for her. This means nothing. Yes. I will go to the core building. Be careful. Why don't we look for her together? Then it will get worse. And I believe in selenium. Why, I understand. I separated from N0's and ran through the forest. It may have been good to mind the little lonely N0's, but for the time being, my head is full of selenium. What does that mean? What's going on? I wonder if there is still nothing. In fact, the memories of her are fake and her existence is also a fake, so I wonder if the truth is that I am a lonely odd person without a foothold. When I thought so, I couldn't help my chest from itching. Enduring the itchy feeling in my chest, I ran for a while in the forest. The secret bathing area of N0's was about 20 minutes away from the core building. Running through an animal path in the forest and passing through the wide ranged shooting ground from the cliff, I found selenium in the middle of a field. Bathed in the moonlight, she is wearing only a thin piece of cloth from her shoulders. Water droplets were dripping down from her beautiful hair. A transparent thin cloth. Whether it was from the mist, only her surroundings are loose and light in the grassy plain with no moisture. It seemed that she was wearing light instead of clothes, which totally fits selenium's current atmosphere. Andy.San. Selenium. Blowing in the wind. The robe of light shook. Selenium's eyes seem to be gently smiling as usual, yet they look expressionless and I don't know if she cried because of her wet cheeks. I was wondering a bit about what I could say and I ended up saying stupid words. You will catch a cold. You're gentle. I know you are cold. Silence. There was neither a compromise nor escape and the two of us spent a few minutes staring at each other. I was trying to put together a lot of words, but I can't do it, as I don't know what to say. When I tried to say something, I felt that the bond with selenium would expire. That was very scary. It turns out now that I have been relying on only the fact that she was the half-elf who has waited 15 years for me. If everything was denied, I think that there might be the power to shatter all that time, I just could not spin the next words. Selenium slowly said something. Andy.San, how well do you remember the girl that said that she didn't want to be separated from you 15 years ago? We did lewd things at the hot spring. Although we met at the hunting house and touched each other's body every day, I cut her ears and made a collar. Yes, that's all true. I know this too. One beat. Do you remember the name of that girl? You don't remember. How? I wonder why she said such a thing. How did she know what I had forgotten? What was the meaning of the fact that I could not remember the answer to her question? It's selenium, isn't it? Selenium makes a silent smile. In the clouds of moonlight and light, she showed a very sad smile. I was told that you didn't ask for her name until the end. In this case, I implicitly admitted. But what does it mean? The name of the half-elf loved by you is called Apple. You're not her. I'm hesitating, Selenium continued with her talk. She finally squeezed it out while adding new tears to her cheeks. I am different. Both this ear wound and this collar are imitations to play the role of Apple from that time. Even if the flow of the talk was read somehow, these words were bad for my heart. My past had never been denied. That's good, I'm sure. But I don't want to believe that the girl in front of me was waiting for me and walking with me all the time, that the girl I believed in was irrelevant. It was a terrible joke that the girl who believed in the promise and loved me for a long time was a misunderstanding in reality. Somehow, I had no strength left and fell down on the grassland. Should I abuse her? Should I run away? Even if I try to think about it, I get confused and can't do anything. I mean, were you mocking me? You, what was that? She was whining. Not that I wanted an answer, but it just leaked out. Selenium approached me, who was trembling on the grassland, and brought her face near me. She gently removed the collar that was wrapped around her neck and put it on the ground. I'm really sorry that I lied to you. But, tears overflowed again. The overflowing tears disturbed her words. Even so, I'm useless if you aren't here. She jumped at me, pushed me down and started crying and repeatedly made an oath of apology in slavery. Selenium spoke about herself selfishly. The name of the half-elf who I gave the collar at that time was Apple, my true female slave. The true identity of Selenium was the sick half-elf who traveled with Apple. Well then, Hiku, so, Andy.san, helped me, who did not meet Andy.san face to face. Why? Because, Apple said, to Andy.san, that we will become your slaves. But I don't remember it. For my entire life, I want to help you, and yet. Besides, without Apple, I am really alone, so Apple said we would become slaves together. Because we will never be alone, we will love you who is lovely and kind together for the rest of our lives, the characteristics of the lonely half. Elf seemed to be really serious. But what if? What's the matter with Apple? She is sleeping. 2 years ago, in Polka, she has been shot in her heart by an elf. What, but she is still alive. Alive, but, she won't wake up. Apple and Selenium seem to have lived quietly between Polka and the forest. Dreaming of when I'll be back in Polka. They looked forward to the day when they live happily as female slaves together. The context is terrible, but it does not help because she really said so. After Celesta made Trot their subordinate, they were able to interact with the townspeople gradually, which made their lives easier. Selenium was able to use some magic and cultivate the forest honey and rare medicinal herbs that were hard for the town people to get. Thanks to the high selling, it wasn't hard to procure food, and gold coins also began to accumulate. It was said that they were enthusiastic that they would be moneymakers by the time I returned, and we would build a slave hut which was much more comfortable than the hunter hut. The incident happened on that occasion. Celesta's appeasement policy had backfired. As a result of the so desired of the people of the northern forest, they sought a trade, and the young elves who were angry shot some of the townspeople as a threat. At once, the elf council had to crush them, but a sacrifice happened. At that time, it was Apple who lived closest to the forest near Polka. I thought it was useless, but her life was saved by the power of the fountain in Polka. I put her inside the hot spring with the arrow, and then I removed the arrow, and the wound was gone somehow. However, she won't wake up as it is. I felt resentment, but I can't do anything. When the first incident happened, I couldn't go back to Trot or Polka, so I enrolled in Celesta's army. There is no reason to be useful. She is still sleeping in the hospital in Polka. It was a scandal during the negotiation and both sides took care of her. But I was all alone. Finally, all the mysteries were solved. Therefore, you borrowed the collar from Apple. Selenium nods. Burying her face into my chest. I expected to come back to Polka with Andy.san someday and have planned to let you meet Apple, but the lie that I first thought of being remembered is no longer a lie. Since I was hugged, my feelings haven't stopped. I don't want to be thrown away. I'm sorry. Idiot. She looked at the moon shining brightly and told me so with a whisper. Half to selenium. Half to myself. I learned today. She has no hometown and no job to return to. She was lonelier than I thought, and being able to laugh it off with a bright face was a favor to me because she and her friend waited for me. If she loves me, then she has nothing. There is nothing more scary than loneliness. That's why I'm sure Selenium and Diane are similar. But she can't get the warmth. Even doubting is scary. There will surely be a person who will use a weak point to destroy the relationship between them and me. Even so, we can't let go or abandon each other. But, I'm a cheater. Actually, I'm trying to be erotic with 100.man Commander Diane.san. I know, but Apple will probably forgive you. Maybe. I said so because I'm a pervert and you will have enough of me. I always feel lustful to Andy.san. I am thinking that I want to impregnate you even though I am awfully underpaid. When we return to Polka I can raise 1 or 2 children. As for Andy, you can just do horny things at home. I will support Andy.san and Apple. Your imagination is really too strong. Such a straightforward affection is dazzling. I love her, I'm happy. There is no reason to let her go. Chu, you, Mohu, you, we will be seen if we are in a place like this. It's okay to show off to everyone, I'm Andy.san's slave and I will do anything for Andy. San. And zeros may be coming by seriously this time. Watching is bad, or rather, that girl is unusually a lecher with a quiet exterior. Is that so? Yes, there is no mistake. Somehow I thought that Selenium's voice grew strangely on the way, but I heard a distinctive crunching sound. Really? Right. Daringly no comment. It is scary after that strong character is bullied too much. I hugged Selenium, who I am afraid of, without knowing it in the middle of this soft grassland and caressed her over the thin cloth she was wearing. Andy.san, there. Here. Yes, Selenium leaked a pleasant voice when I poke her butthole. There was a noise in the distance again. I wonder where it was. I'm really sure it's the sullen N-Zeros. You know, I'm relieved that Andy.sans knows everything about me. To tell you the truth, from time to time, I feel good. I can tell so, from your face, which is tempting when you feel it. Is that so? I'm happy. Selenium, who was still wearing little foggy clothes, glowed with glitter. I realized that such a beautiful, nasty and strong girl is not reluctant to love me by betting her own lonely existence, and I am really excited about that fact. Please give me a child, you can come anytime, no matter what you do, I will bear Andy.sans child. It seems by the fact that this thin waist wants my semen. Andy.san is overrunning too much. Selenium crawled her hands around my dick and after holding it strongly, she put it in her mouth without hesitation. I may reach my limit soon. I don't mind if you come inside. Okay, are you prepared for it? I lifted Selenium's waist up. Selenium reached out her hands and determines the position of my penis. And then, swallowed it at once. Qua. And I ejaculated. Hiya. Uoo. Doken. Amazing, really, not yet. Although I declared earlier, I am slightly amazed by my own premature ejaculation. In order to cover it, I start to extract without leaving time for comments. In proportion to the degree of excitement, the stiffness of my penis is kept to the max and I continue to release semen into Selenium's womb. Free, key, it feels good, triple A. Why, you can't say it out loud, her voice might be able to reach the core building and it's scary even if it is praised too much honestly here. Just a little scared. Selenium whispered to me while putting out her tongue. You know, I was scared a little while ago, Dot. If she went serious, I would have died and you, ah. It seems that she had a grudge against N-Zeros. So, I will show off, and my master will be proud. Hoo, I guess it is frustrating. Well, moderately. Whether or not to carry the way of Selenium really, it is certainly exciting to play a bit. Thus, Selenium's panting echoed high and her hips continued to bounce better than a dog. Triple A, Andy.San, our master. Selenium was very good. Her vagina felt like it was only made to please me. It was doubled by the elements such as outdoor, the gaze of N-Zeros and the intense waist movement, attacking my dick. The semen that I put out first was scattered and she accelerated. Selenium, already, again, actually I too, again, my testicle began preparing arrows to shoot to the uterus of Selenium. Selenium also lowered her uterus and waited for it. The more excited I am, the more I breathe. At the moment of each other's climax came, we had a synergistic effect and we felt each other's climax, therefore Selenium and I exchanged idiotic smiles. We didn't talk and only our panting and the colliding sound of our bodies were heard. C, come, ya, Doken. Rich concentrated semen was poured into Selenium's vagina. Amazing, comfortable, I won't let you go, I want to do, great, we two went crazy till the climax. By exposing the throat, my body remained trembling in the afterglow of the climax and I'm immersed in the feeling of the world while still being connected. After a while, we returned to ourselves. Good. Yes. It was pleasant. Embracing and praising each other's affinity, we touched each other's back with our fingers. Next time when it's time to organize the army, I will take a half-year vacation. Andy.San and then, Apple. I will bring her here as the medical system is more advanced in Celesta. If we go to the south we can find a way to wake up Apple, surely. Yes, that's right. By the way, if it comes to a half-year vacation, it cannot be taken unless you're treated as a reserve. But from Basun to Polka it will take 2 months each way. I cannot get on an early carriage because there is no money and it may cost more. If that happens, I need to pay my annual payment. If I return, I would like to talk with my father even if I'm not welcomed. Perhaps he did not make an unpleasant face unexpectedly and might say that I should succeed the blacksmith. But I will first wake up Apple and I cannot stop being in the Celesta army until I have a relationship with 100-man Commander Diane. It is perhaps wonderful that Diane.San would like to think the same at least if it goes as it is, it will be so. I wonder if I can go on. I wonder if that is okay. I've been filled with thoughts. That's all right. I'm always by your side. Yes. I'm very glad. The moon was shining. It illuminated us with just the slightest brightness that we cannot keep pace with the world. Well, after we had sex, it is better to take a bath. N-Zeros. N-Zeros.San. When we returned to the bathing area, N-Zeros was washing her underwear for some reason. Naked. Yo, you guys are here. Know that, we wanted to take a bath. I have become dirty a little, well we both, this, N-Zeros picked up a branch from the side. It was dangerous for a moment. Let's run away. Wait a minute, my clothes are all here. Don't worry about that. I pulled Selenium. I calculated the speed at which N-Zeros' gauge accumulated somehow and turned around, which was a bit late. N-Zero's shockwave cracked the pond. It was a fresh experience to fly a little. Chapter 7. The Minister arrived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recently, during marching training of the Crossbow Corps, we also look for the wild grass. It's important for Selenium's medical herb salad, which she eats when she gets exhausted using medical treatment technique. The herb searching was a substitute for a little voluntary training. Originally, the crossbow corps had a lot of free time, so we can afford it. Hey, Selenium.chan. Yes. Is this okay? Is this okay? This is just cool and nutritious, it looks like it, but avoid the red stems. Ah, this mushroom looks delicious. I have found a lot of them. Ah, really great. Dwarves are really good about finding mushrooms. Yuhi, not that much. Everyone on the team came back to the building one after another and showed their loot to Selenium. Actually, it should be a sum of the medical treatment technique, but nobody asks for treatment. Before we knew it, it became like a tribute that can be given openly. Well, considering the beauty of Selenium and her good manners, it was inevitable for her to become an idol, but somewhat my weight is probably too narrow a little bit. Whether such a disturbance went out of hand, I burned my fingertips with a burning iron. This is a mistake. I got depressed a little because of my uselessness. Hey, Smithson, burn. 100. Man Commander. You know what, lend me a help shortly. 100. Man Commander. Diane sucked my burned finger with her mouth without hesitation. It's dirty. I'm going to lick your body no matter how dirty it is. Good grief, you're so energetic. I wonder if Diane.san saw through my evil thought. Selenium came running towards us as we whispered because there was no one here. Andy.san, I said you should tell me if you get hurt. Bad luck. I already licked it. No, it hasn't healed. Is it still red? It will improve soon because my love for my subordinate and charm are working. At least the tingling stopped after Diane.san licked it and she told me so. Can 100. Man Commander also use medical treatment skill? No, mine is a more primitive technique, which will speed up natural recovery slightly. Is there such a thing? Well, after all, because it is an extension of natural recovery, you can't do something just to get rid of the wounds, and in our colony, only that kind of strain was transmitted. There are various kinds of magic, it will be fun if you study, shall I teach you personally this time? Diane.san took a look around before she started to whisper in a low voice. In fact, the secret of my family is that there is a magic which is used during sex, which will let him ejaculate about a beer mug at a time. If you use it, he'll be happy to be your partner. I'm a human, everyone can use it, even humans and elves. Magic training to give a cum shot of semen, it's pretty pointless. But one might want to ejaculate like that. Andy.san, I will accept even 2 or 3 cups. No, that's the problem, and Zeros came closer with a bitter face to us who are getting excited about such a weird topic. At least in the daytime, please refrain from doing sex talk, Selenium. Smithson as well. Framed. It was the 100. Man Commander who started it. 100. Man Commander, you and Smithson, never. I'm going to make my charm play, so thank you for encouraging me. And Zero's eyes opened as she was startled. By the way, and Zero's did not know my relationship with Diane.san. It had progressed mostly in the bath. Smithson. I thought you were a more serious man, I'm always seriously serious. I'm just a little lewd. I thought you were an ethically serious fellow. Somehow Ann Zeros had tears in her eyes and shouted loudly. It was not like I came to say this. After that, she corrected her posture as remembered, and the salute was turned to Diane.san and she put her fist on her chest. 100. Man Commander Diane, a guest came using the Flying Dragon service. Diane.san had a suspicious face. And I looked at the calendar of wood panels on the wall, and I put my hand on my mouth to think to take measures. Is it already such a season? It is such a season. Okay, I got it, I have already decided my reply for this year. Diane. Stood up in a troublesome way. She left a kiss on my cheek before leaving happily. Smithson. Tell me, don't you think that half or dark elf are simple, because 100. Man Commander and Selenium have been swayed by you? There are certainly such fellows. Yeah, and zeros. San is unrelated, aren't you? I know, that you want Andy. San's sex life to dry up. Oh, okay, ha, shameless. And zeros turned red and went out to escape. Hey, Selenium. Yes. I thought I'd give you a gift, but I decided not to give you if you do not promise me something. Don't talk much about sex during the daytime. It's a little awkward. I mean, I think your older brother should be a little more modest. Okay. Good, then take this. What I made a little while ago was put on Selenium. Wow. Only for you. I'm happy. A new collar. I made it out of desert lizard leather which I ordered for a headgear a long time ago. It is a high-grade leather that combines touch and ruggedness. It is more comfortable and more durable than the collar I made in my childhood. Since the collar for Apple was returned, I will attach it on Apple again when she awakens. I think this is the best way of expressing affection. There was a crowd of people in front of the drawing room as I was walking in the corridor of the core building. Is the guest who wants to talk to our 100. Man Commander inside? Yes. And zeros stood in front of the door and spoke with the guards. Although she said at such a season, what is meant with this season? I thought that it might be an annual event because N zeros and Diane. San knows about it. I think that I should also know it because I am already in this unit for about 7 years. Smithson has no choice but to know. I just happen to act as an agent for a few times. It is about the promotion of 100. Man Commander. Promotion. When I ask back, Diane. San opens the door cheerfully and suddenly put out her face. I won't. I'm enough being a 100. Man Commander. The voice of a middle-aged man came from the room. That's the problem. Diane. San pulled her face away from the gap in the door and began to speak in a hard voice to the person in the room. I should have said it many times, Your Excellence. I am confident in the significance of this corps and the battlefield value. It is my dream to raise the level of this corps further and to lead them to surpass the Sword Saint Brigade, and to say that we are the crossbow corps of the Northwestern Plains is approaching stupidity. Another 100. Man Commander would be fine here. It is the loss of our troops that you are in the position of a 100. Man Commander. Would you at least accept the overnight position? The Master of the Master Knights will speak differently because I'm only a Ace Knight. Then I'll have you participate in the Knight class from now on. Yes, I don't want to hear anything, Diane. Suddenly, the voice of the bossy person was shattered. I've said it before that I don't want to be great or famous, Father. Diane. San's tone also fell apart. What the heck? Maybe, as you hear, it's a parent-child quarrel. 2 dark elves started fighting in the room. And Zeros shook her head in melancholy. I don't like the fact that when I get promoted, I will receive many marriage invitations. To be precise, I don't want to stand out or to marry. I already have a man in my heart. Ho, say it once again. I told you that there is already a man who I want to spend the rest of my life with. Where's the bombshell? Do you want to kill me? I will do it because I will punish my father if I do that. Sorry, Dad was bad. The person constituting the cabinet under the current King of Celesta, the 6th Minister Ashton. A politician elected from the Dark Elf colony from the southern Oasis area. A person mainly in charge of military strategy. And he seems to be Diane. San's father. Before N-Zeros, the 100. Man Commander was also quite a lady. I think it is good to call someone who has 92 brothers a lady. What do you say, Diane? Daddy loves you the most. Well, I'd like to try that love, don't come any longer. That's a useless dad. Diane.San sighed to her father, who is not worth such a thing. He looks like a human in his 40s. His face tightened. Tell me the truth, father. Instead of just being blind, telling me to be a general and or to be an overnight, you need a dark elf's face. Well. You can say that from the beginning. Because I can't read the flow of the talk, I turned my eyes to Diane.San. In other words, it means that you have to make it known within the military of the Dark Elves that there is a talented person, and if that person becomes a general, master knight or overnight, you are able to attend a military meeting. Yes. After the previous Trot War, I know several ace knights from the southeastern forest elf territory. They have refused to trade for a long time. I know it. One of their ace knights had become a master knight recently, so they can do whatever they want. In support of the local Chamber of Commerce, he took half of the Southern Army Corps away for public safety. To say it, the Master Knight has a general authority and can command up to 1,000 people, and now the Southeastern Forest Territory has become a semi-independent country. I think that other countries tend to do some things. However, Celesta is such a country. A total of 40 dark elves and ogres have disappeared from our oasis colony, and all of them were girls. According to the rumors, I heard they were thrown into the personal conspiracy of the Master Knight and his father, the President of Commerce and Industry. Diane.San's eyebrow moved swiftly. I don't know what to do. I think that I alone, who don't have anything to say in the Dark Elf colony, doesn't have the strong desire of getting angry even if I raise my hand. In fact, I alone am said to be mad. In the province, I think that if the Master Knight kills me, the story will be over with that. Sigh. In fact, you are perfect. Everyone who took part in the Trot War is afraid of you. Please, Diane, show them your existence. Tell them that if you really turn them into enemies, the Master Knight will be inferior to dogs. I refuse. Diane.San said flatly. Why? The reason is that the motive of trying to draw attention is to make us look like a good match. Ugu. Minister. Show a better poker face. But Diane.San stood up. She did not show the face of a war hero nor the sweet elder sister look which she shows often. I need to tell them, how many sins would it be to shoot the back of an ally? Diane. Father, please take the crossbow squad off the list. I'm going to settle this personally. Diane, I know that I can depend on you. I love you. Don't make such an act. In front of my boyfriend. Boyfriend. Minister turned around his head. The onlookers are 2 dwarf soldiers, 1 ogre soldier, me, Selenium and N0s. You. The minister pulled out his sword and suddenly attacks N0s. It's not me, minister. Stop, father. Chapter 8. Before departure, Diane, you are listening at novelfull.audio. All members of the Crossbow Corps were gathered at the training ground by the half-bell. From this day on, Celesta's Northern Crossbow Corps falls out of the list of forces for 3 months. It is an activity pause. A commotion occurred when Diane.San spoke her first words. Everyone waited for the following words with uneasy faces, as the regulations weren't disarranged in the Corps. The fact that we were off the list of forces means that we will be removed from the military command system. The reason was that it was likely to mean dissolution, reorganization, etc. The figure of the 6th Minister Ashton, who was dressed in his characteristic robe with the flying dragon and the messenger standing behind Diane.San, let everyone feel uneasy. However, Diane.San dared not to let them misunderstand and said the following words. The reason is my personal travel. A subtle air flowed. This unit has been optimized to have 100% power with the aid of my magic. It is a measure because it is troublesome if you operate without me and cut the force to mischief. Because I am proof of the recognition of the General Headquarters that you are the trump card for war, I want you to be honored. The words were said and Diane.San looked around. Have a nice travel, what? The atmosphere wasn't supposed to be strange. Well, it can't be helped. Cough. It was not able to be seen that his daughter was exposed to a too delicate atmosphere, and Minister Ashton went out after clearing his throat. Even in the previous Trot War, the number of people was still half at that time, and I'm aware of the terrible power of any of the crossbow corps. But since then, we have been ordered many times by someone that we needed to be constantly prepared and never had a break. A smile that looked good on the outside. Is this neighborhood a politician in flukes? The young men who are here from the paramilitary soldiers may not know, but the other troops are originally working on the rotation and once every few years have a vacation. The crossbow squad doesn't have an alternative, so we normally can't take a break. It seems to be true. I have heard a little about it from Isaac and others who have been transferred from other forces. This time it is a strange feeling because the trigger is 100. Man Commander Diane. Sans trip, so it is a good opportunity. Because it will be a paid vacation this time, I want you guys to take a breather as much as possible. Whether you are free to take this opportunity to go to Kika sightseeing. Those who want to continue training will get a special allowance paid, but you should spend your time in peace. The subtle atmosphere gradually changed into a festive mood while the minister's story continued. The story was too tasty and too delicious, but as the minister was the one who said it, there's no need to doubt it. And for me, and Zeros and a few other people who happened to be at the scene, we just grinned. Nobody thought that Diane. San was roped in on the relation of her immediate family to the trouble processing between the tribes and the minister abusing his authority to cover it up. But are 3 months enough? If you use a high-speed connecting road on a horse-drawn carriage, it will not take a month to the forest elf territory, for example. The transportation fee is fully paid by my father. Night. I talked about this journey while helping Diane. San pack. It's going to take a while to go over there. The other side is a colony leader. The son of the colony leader, to be exact. White elves have a high pride. If it is provoked by a dark elf who is inferior to his rank, he won't come out. Are you provoking him? It was difficult for me to understand the motive of Diane. San, who took an aggressive attitude easily from the other party's bosom. Or rather, are you going alone? And Zeros will also come this time. I think it's better to go with the whole crossbow corps, understand, Smithson. Why was my father so particular about promoting me? The minister hasn't come back because he has returned to the capital Quika with the Flying Dragon service after reporting the suspension of activity. That was why Diane. San looked at her father with a slightly kind face. If we respond with the military to what they do, it will give misfortunes, and the gap between my father, the Dark Elf colony, this crossbow corps, other provinces, and other forces will cause a civil war. In reality, it's the smartest way to show off your power without hurting your opponent and outrage to atrophy. Despise that, why did you refuse? I would have said that I'm proud of this crossbow squad. It is not possible to endure the unskilled operation in the hand of others, no. The hand that binds the load stopped and Diane. San turned around. She jumped into my chest naturally like the swinging of the wind. If you are used to other incompetence and I think you're dead, I can't stand it. So I don't want to go on any more to protect you with this hand. Heidi. Does that mean you don't want me to be promoted to the 100. Man commander? You can take it that way. What if I earn the money for us? I had a secret dream to be a greater commander than Diane. San. I'll ask you anything if you like in bed. What about selenium? Why do you want to make me a man who is financially dependent on a woman? Humans are too transient, so I want to cherish him if I like one. Please understand. Diane. San's crying voice in my chest is cute. I always get lusty. Good grief, then order, I let you have me right now. Idiot, that's what I'm asking for. Then let's have sex. Understood. Please use me as much as you want, sir. In a completely empty room, 2 people tangled in a bed that doesn't change. Diane.San, who was so strong that she doesn't even have problems with N-Zeros outside, is no different from a mere girl when she is embraced by me. I don't quite understand the age of dark elves, you look older than I am. I can't use honorific on my superior officer. Do you want to continue that play? It's you, sir, who started to say that. It seems that she wants to play the subordinate who opens her body as ordered by her superior official. Well then, how old are you if you're a human? Yes, I say that it is different from humans. How old am I? It's about 1,000 years to become the age of my father. What 1,000 years? In other words, if you calculate it simply, it is 1,000 years divided by 40 years equals that means she gets 1 year older every 25 years. What? Diane.San, M. Please don't call me that. Diane is about 200 years old. It is so. Is it correct as a human? That's why the way of taking age is different, although growth rate isn't different from other races. Aging, it is said that in terms of human age, it takes 800 years to go from about 18 years old to about 30 years old, then, roughly. A little bit more. That's right. Dark elves are mysterious. I don't think that she is under my age when seeing her usual self-confident expression and her elder sister attitude. However, she seems to be a subordinate now, and indeed, such a feeling comes into view when seeing her now. Don't you like me? No way, I'm a young, tense, breast-loving boy from Polka. Hoo-hoo, I am relieved, NN. It is very fresh that Diane.San, who had been assembled and eagerly groomed, accepts my kiss as it is. Or until now she has only inserted fingers of one hand totally, so when it comes to freshness, everything is fresh now. Diane.San, who turned to the receiving end, is pretty anyhow. I'll take it off, why don't you order me to take it off? Take it off. Ha. Diane.San takes off her clothes delightfully to bewitch me. She is a person who prefers easy-to-move short clothes which don't hide her skin so much, and it was indeed sensational and beautiful that the small cloth parted from her skin. I took it off. Then, being excited to say that, I came up with something better for Diane.San. Masturbate. Did not you hear me say I want you to masturbate? Instantaneously, Diane.San squatted down. I guess it was a little obliquely above my expectation. But she smiles with a flushed face. Do you see it from the front or from the back? From the front. I want to see your breasts. Okay, I will do it. She timidly opened her crotch like the letter M in front of me. The woman who was the hero of the war and whom I have been longing for many years, even though our paths intersected several times, felt a strong embarrassment and excitement in the situation of performing shamefully by my instruction. She attacked me many times, and I wonder whether it was really good for me or if it was a lame idea. My crotch was painfully erecting to her keen glance as if she could screw it. Sir, it's exclusive. I am a daunting prostitute exclusively for sir. She started rubbing her chest as I said, repeatedly caressing herself with the middle finger, index finger and ring finger and stroking and licking it. Sir, I'm a female soldier who was assigned to comfort you. Even though it is not ordered to say such a thing separately, it is odious, and Diane.San says words which despise me. In every word, every time she says obnoxious things, her shoulders tremble and saliva hangs from her upper and lower mouth. She may be a masochist unexpectedly. My duty is to get the semen of sir, my main duty is to have a lot of children and to have been conceived by you a lot, nicely, so please fuck me, please, fuck Diane, that is unacceptable. The skin of the clitoris is peeled off and Diane.San's hand stopped little by little. Is it a pity that a child will be born during military service? Ah, if it is an order from the military, are you a light woman who always gives birth to her superior's child? I understand the answer and daringly made a Tsukomi in Diane.San's delusion. Even if it's a delusion, it was a narrow wish of her wanting to be mine. But, Diane.San imagined herself, answering with tears overflowing from her eyes. No, dislike, yours, I want Andy Smithson's child. I'm sorry, I don't care about my mission, I love you, I want to bear your child, hug me quickly, make me fall down to a naughty subordinate to a slave just for yourself. Good kid. While feeling guilty about being mean, I gently pushed Diane.San down, who started crying. And I pushed my excited penis into her wet vagina in a stroke. Ha, a. Incredible, it seemed that her whole body and the inside of Diane was like being boiled by a scorching hot soup. Her whole vagina hugged my dick deeply and she gave me a kiss. Her mouth can't handle the invading and her tongue stuck out and she raised a panting voice. I moved in her vagina slowly while licking the saliva around her mouth. Nah, ahu, triple A, feeling, good, a. I also, damn, pitiable. While maintaining mental superiority for that much, my lower body is not totally superior. I don't have much resistance yet. While making a loud sound, I let my dick go in and out and I didn't feel like I could hold down the feeling of ejaculation at all. No, if I relax my movement, I also know that the pleasure will loosen and I can endure a little longer, but relaxing the movement itself was an unreasonable consultation. Too much. To love while loosening up just a little, my little tiny ball is too unusual. The bee seems to be coming, I was scared and I could not do it. So, I can't stand it and ejaculate. Triple A. I'm ejaculating, I'm happy. Coo, as always, Diane.San is the only one delighted. With loosened eyes and cheeks as if they are in Eden, she kept hugging me as I kept shooting into her uterus. It is regrettable personally to do so. Sure, I'm prematurely ejaculating. But I did not want to admit that pleasure was given only by the spiritual one, though I embraced her enthusiastically. Guchu, got you. I pierced Diane.San further like to grind the sperm that I threw up. The vagina who struggled to get messy still continued to be cramped, but I push in deeper and deeper. Hiawau, a. Did I told you to do it like that? Ha, yes, but, While being embarrassed, Diane.San continued to be shaken. I know. This is my selfish destination. The copulation Diane.San wanted was affection and semen, which is enough already. Even if I do it again, I should take the time with her consent. But, I still poked Diane.San. Many times, I repeatedly ejaculated. Yeah, already, this, Coo, a. I did not know how many times I had ejaculated inside Diane.San, but it was a lot. Diane.San was not able to politicize her hands and feet and was like a tuna, but still, I continued to fuck her. Why? Even though I love this much, I am longing for it. To a journey that I may possibly die. Even N-Zeros will come with us. Because it was frustrating for us to say that she is leaving me. I know. I am weak. Because I'm a member of the Crossbow Corps, I can fight including repair and command, but I'm a useless soldier who cannot do anything by himself. I know such a thing. Therefore, I thought that I should pour all things I do not understand such as sadness and anger to Diane.San. Until I was tired and collapsed, I was shaking my back with a sad face. You can't do it at once, but, have you seriously put out a beer mug in one night? Stroking my hair that hangs over, Diane.San muttered with a bitter smile. I tried to answer, but I got tired and my voice withered and I could not reply. That reminds me, this is, when I leave you, you are monopolized by that little girl for 3 months, I nodded deeply. That's why she slapped me. However, Diane.San casually touched my back and hit me. Alright, you come, too, ha. I can't bear to be separated from you for 90 days, so you come with me and we can do it every day. Yes. Is it unpleasant? No, that. Ah, I see, selenium will also come with us. Well, I'm not able to escape an urgent problem without making some sacrifices. Both of you will come with us. Yes. That. What am I misunderstanding? Isn't that bad? Chapter 9. Encounter bandits. You are listening at novelfull.audio. To go from Basun, which is the northernmost town in Celesta, to the southeastern forest territory, it will take about 1 month by carriage when you go in a straight line. But you can't go straight. The Russell Desert, which can be called the symbol of Celesta, spreads across from the center of Celesta to the west. There are 2 routes to the south that cross beyond this desert. Even if it is a detour, one route goes along the large Almonica River flowing somewhat west, and the other route goes around the desert ended in the east. The route along the large Almonica River leads to the sea, about 3 days away from the desert edge, and if you go along the beach for a week you reach the capital. From there to the forest you go through the oasis, well, a total of approximately 7 weeks. Going around the eastern desert end, it will also take 7 weeks. Frankly, both are not good. However, compared with the oasis area, the eastern end of the desert continues to a small post town, and high speed transfer is possible by switching carriages in a row. Night carriages are easily targeted by thieves, and fares are expensive to a line-strong escort. However, we are so strong that it is possible to reach in 4 weeks or less. Our party led by Diane. San was advancing towards the nearest desert edge to advance from there. Isaac disturbed, Diane. San muttered in a blurred manner. Isaac looks at Diane. San. Diane. San was looking out from the edge of the carriage and looks cranky. Hiya, 100. Man Commander. That, disturbing. It is not unreasonable for Isaac to behave in a strange way. Even if it is said to be an obstacle, he can't get down from the carriage. That is troublesome. The carriage we ride is a giant horse carriage peculiar for letting also ogres riding it. 5 horses pull. The interior space is quite large and 50 people can ride if there is no ogre. It is not as extraordinary as distinctive, though it is Isaac who is a minotaur even if it is so wide. But why Diane. San mutters such a thing probably isn't understood by the others. We should have taken another road if I knew Isaac would also go home. No, why am I hated by the 100. Man Commander? I don't hate you. Isaac tilted his head to the cryptic answer. Because it is poor, I put out a helping hand. There are days like that, that, is it such a thing? It is such a day. I tried to convince him that it was a woman. Specific day. Diane. San ignored. And Zeros glares at me with scornful eyes, and selenium. We are accumulating. More attention was given. Hey, selenium. Chan. Uncle thinks you should be more careful. What Isaac heard somewhere is said to selenium. Selenium is puzzled. Even if I'm in the way, it is Smithson, is not it? I am in trouble asking for consent. Selenium and I are the only ones who knows the cause of Diane's frustration. Well, that's just frustration. Only N0s and selenium, if you say it proudly, pretend to ignore us so that Diane. San can enjoy sex with me. But if Isaac were to be careful, it would be impossible to hide it from him. With the intention of not wanting to spread the physical relation between Diane. San and me, we are supposed to endure while Isaac is here. But it is a scary sign that Diane. San is about to say, "Embrace me naked," soon. When she was with the minister last time, I managed to be seen as a young soldier, but Isaac is a 10. Man captain who is older than me, my senpai. It is not hard to imagine that my relation with Diane. San will be known by the Corps at once, and I will receive the bullying of overwork death, as I'm the one who monopolizes the heroine of the Corps following selenium and N0s. I don't want to die yet. Therefore it is better to hide the fact properly. An event happened as we were on our way to the town at the desert edge. Well then, let's continue moving tomorrow. The landscape is getting dusty soon. Yeah, it's nostalgic. What's wrong, Isaac? Something is wrong. Isaac, who had a face that seemed to be comfortable until now, looked out of the window with a strange face. I look at the window wondering if there is something. Sunset. The scenery that began to change from the meadow to the wilderness. A grass bush moves like rippling in the wind, and especially having changed. Smithson, danger. Smithson. Andy. Andy.San, not good. At about the same time, Isaac, and Zeros, Diane, and Selenium shout. Isaac jumps in front of me to close the window, and Zeros and Diane push me on the floor with a phenomenal jump, and this is about the same time that Selenium held my hand. And Dosen. Dot. There was a loud sound coming from the other side of the window, and Isaac's hand blocked something. A frown appears on Isaac's face. And a few seconds later. Ah, achachacha. There was an arrow sticking through Isaac's hand. Isaac. ACJ. Achacha. After waving his hand for a while, Isaac unplugs the arrow and threw it out of the window and scrubbed his hand. He is a strong ogre, so that it is only necessary to do so even if it is an arrow wound. Hugh, damn, 100. Man commander. And Zeros. Ah. Don't say it all, and Zeros jumps out of the door after the coachman stopped the carriage, and Diane.San rises up and starts chanting magic. Selenium jumps towards Isaac in a hurry and begins to chant medical treatment technique. Selenium, how is it? Yes, because he is an ogre, it is a small arrow wound, it will be fine in a little. Selenium healed the wound while looking at me. The face was haggard at once, but it can be said that she is truly skillful. 100. Man commander, I will also fight, don't push yourself, I'm sure Diane.San's magic is ready. The sensory increase, illusion control. In the meantime, my view is in battle mode. I took an arrow and pulled the bow while I was applied with magic, and as soon as I was ready, Isaac and Diane.San each jumped out of the carriage from a different direction. The dogfight with the group of thieves had started outside. Their arrows come flying the other way. The tip is burning so that they can burn the carriage, and they attacked the travelers who had jumped out in a hurry, robbed their goods, committed and killed them if it wasn't worth it. It's a routine process. But Diane's magic prevented the carriage from burning. The illusion of material that is hard to burn was put on the whole wagon. Illusion magic isn't only applied to the eyes of a creature, but sometimes even on things. I climbed the roof of such a wagon and looked down on the battlefield while lying down. About 20 thieves. Not a few. It's bad luck for them to attack the carriage with Diane.San. I released one arrow with sympathy and sniped the heart of one of the thieves. Snipe. Another one down. Ha, good job, Smithson. I repeat the work of a sniper and pull the bow repeatedly, therefore I get praise from Isaac for defeating one thief after another. It would be more difficult without Diane's magic. It's so clear. Looking. As if the crossbow I hold in my hand is already part of my body and I know my goal and direction, breakable a more precise place than writing a letter. Even I, Uriah. Isaac didn't have any weapons, as he was just going to visit his hometown in the first place. He picked up a rock which was in the vicinity and threw it at the thieves one after another. An ogre is strong in the dark. It seems that ogres are weak during the daytime like humans during the night. The preeminent strength and toughness come in handy. Now, Isaac would appear to be a formidable wall for the thieves. Meanwhile, Zeros was surrounded by 7 bandits armed with swords and spears. No, they were surrounded. He, little kid, you are brave. Oh, she has a nice ass, I like it. Kid, you should have chosen your opponent wisely at night. First of all, we will beat all your teeth out. So that you can't bite us anymore. And Zeros is silent while the thieves do their own things. Changing their loose standing position, they surround their opponent and are off guard. An ace knight is a name before the battle. It is an indication that says it is better to run away. Not to do that is an act of stupidity. And Zeros, who thought that the thieves gathered enough, stopped her feet. Then, her mouth is opened for the first time. I will pray that you will be born again into a non-disgraceful person in the afterlife. No persuasion, no warning, no threat, just a sentence. As the thieves were listening, the moment they tried to laugh, and Zeros draws her sword at once and jumped forward. One frozen person is cut from the torso, another one's heart is pierced, and the next man's face is neatly split apart. What? Only the last two were able to raise a voice of surprise. When the two hearts are penetrated, and Zeros stops her movement and prays with the sword in her hand. It hasn't been more than 2 seconds since she started swinging her sword. It was the terrible skills of an ace knight. Diane.San appeared suddenly before the boss, who tried to flee in the distance. No, from the sense that grew so that I can see, it is sure that the thief boss is unable to understand as the movement of Diane.San, who fly in the sky by jumping on a grass bush like a demon beast, was seen lightly. It is natural. A dark elf who jumps faster than a horse's carriage is rarely seen. It was a monster physical ability of Diane.San, which is only shown when moving as a warrior and not as a commander. Hey, are you the boss? Nah, you'll pay for it. I'm in a very bad mood now that my men are hurt. Diane.San is laughing. I was pleasantly surprised. She laughs brutally. I'll let you choose. I put you here and you wait for the judgment of Celesta's law, or leave it to my personal feelings now and suffer and be killed while begging. Dark elf, take this. The thief boss is dashing and is challenging Diane.San with a knife to try to escape. Diane.San shows a carnivorous beast smile. She has the face of a wolf who welcomes the pitiful prey who has rushed in out of desperation. But I pull the trigger and pierce the heart of the boss with an arrow. Death in a moment. Andy. I am a little bitter and nod to Diane.San, who was stunned for a moment. I knew it was not for Diane.San. Still, I didn't want to see her killing happily. It's too much to be a hero of war. If possible. Andy.San, are you going to use the arrows again? I was washing the arrows that have been recovered by me, and Selenium asked with a mysterious face. The arrows of our corps are a special product. Ah, they're not disposable. I was going to take them with me to the forest elf territory originally. I see. Ah, the arrowhead isn't iron. Selenium is someone who wonders about many things. Next to me, and Zeros was washing her clothes, armor, and sword. Naked as usual. You two are getting off with a good level of mind, and Zeros, I'm not at peace. I'm determined to be very embarrassed, shameless Smithson. And Zeros is angry as she turned red. Separately, I wait until the wash is over. I think we can wash it on the other side of the pond. Yo, you are in trouble if you start doing something shameless in the gap where I am not present. She seems to have tampered with, or she doesn't trust me. Whether it is difficult to judge me even if it is said in a whisper while blushing. But, well, Selenium is also naked clearly. Smithson. Yua, Diane.San, who had hugged me from behind, didn't wear any clothes. Thank you for a little while ago. What is it? You helped me with covered shooting. It was not something important. No, I was very happy. Someone I disliked was badly blown away at once. It is extremely complicated, and I think that it was somehow extraordinary. Still, I couldn't stand still there and shoot instantly, and it seems to have touched Diane.San's heart. And hey, Smithson, Isaac gives a dark voice while washing his body quietly at the corner of the pond. What is Isaac, are you always having such a paradise during bath time? Surely, looking from the side, 3 naked beautiful girls are surrounding me and getting along well. It makes Isaac jealous. But Diane.San keeps her chest tight against me. I never hated to take a bath with you. No, well, really, I don't care if you're a different man. Isaac, no, as expected. It is kind of weird. Surprisingly shy Isaac. No, he doesn't show his ordinary face. There is only a part of doing it in the core. Selenium hides behind me not to show off her now, and N0 hides her body by crouching down. Certainly, these two haven't shown skin to other people. They showed it to me only. After all, it was found out. Damn it, remember when you get home, Smithson. I'll never forget this feeling of sorrow, fuck. No, well, anyway, Selenium, and Zeros, maybe you're wrong about that, somewhat. I'm trying to persuade Isaac, who has teary eyes also with tearful eyes. I remembered the hell which will await me after I became aware of it, but later Diane.San squeezed my face. N0 or something. It seems that N0 didn't like the treatment of the same row as something. Diane.San advances without swaying her big breasts. It is the time to tell you, Isaac, Smithson with me, no, between Andy and me, there is a physical relationship. Isaac looks very funny. Do you say what to do and say, Diane? Is there any harassment against me? It is completely open to the sticky of the painted paint. What do you mean, what, you, Smithson? What's going on? Don't shake it, please. And I am more than that. Large declaration of Selenium. No, you can go to a pretty deep place, Diane.San counteracts. Mander deserved. Isaac has tears in his eyes. Let's settle it here now, Selenium. I'm already coming out, so no fear. From now on, Isaac will be with Andy. Nah, you are still embarrassed in public. I cannot be seen naked as a subordinate, there is nothing that extension, it is my incompetence. I'm Andy's female slave. I demonstrate it to you. Bumo. Smithson, what the hell did you really do during this kinda time? Can I kill you? Hey. Sorry, the great chaos of all the naked girls prostrates in angry and furious. And this shameless bastard Ednel.co. We are blown high in the sky other than Diane.San, she jumped away, from the sword pressure of the crying N0. I was impressed that the bulky Isaac flies quite well. Chapter 10. Ox, Ogre Village Selenium, Diane, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Alpha Clade, the nearest desert edge city from Basun. From here we take the ride around the desert edge and not through the desert route. Such a road was made, because of ogres. There are no vehicles that can carry ogres and can cross the desert. Assuming boarding of an ogre, at this time any car will be buried in the sand and stacked. Another reason is the existence of devil beasts. The desert where people's hands are hard to enter is easy to habit monsters, and there is also a large labyrinth under the desert. The labyrinth is a ruin which functions as a hidden treasure or a mighty demonic seal, or a ruin which functions as a fortress of a few tribes and periodically combines monsters that wander around as they become sophisticated. The desert labyrinth is exactly an advanced labyrinth, because in the vicinity of several entry points there are wandering monsters. For these reasons, the Russell Desert is considered more dangerous than other desert areas, except for a few caravan teams who knew the terrain. No one else stepped into the desert. Well, that's why there's no way but to go all the way around the disturbing Russell Desert. I thought that. By the way, where is Smithson going? Is it Kika? No, to the southeastern forest elf territory, in Alpha-Clade. We had to slow down for a day before getting on the next carriage and had a drink with Isaac. While tilting the wood-carving beer mug, Isaac looked suspicious. Southeast, isn't that the Oasis colony, the White Elves? Yes, if you don't use a high-speed carriage or something, it will be hard to return in 3 months. We use it. Isn't that expensive? Why don't you cross the desert? Can you cross it? You can. Do not you know about it? What are you talking about? If you use the large desert labyrinth, you can reach the other side like you use a high-speed carriage. Can we use it? Other than the 100-man commander, half of our group can't fight melee, more than in a labyrinth. Then, you can't do that. It doesn't mean that I don't normally advertise it. Isaac added an additional order while grinning. He is an ogre who drinks alcohol and eats a roasted bird. The labyrinth is the root of the correct answer. If you pass it there, it is possible to almost pay nothing and you only move by advancing earnestly. Moreover, even if it is underground, it is considerably bright because there is a light window concealed by an illusion. There is also a water supply using the oasis. Therefore I recommend it, I heard it thoroughly. But is there such a delicious story? I don't know if it's the right answer, because there's a maze in the labyrinth. Do you know where I'm going to? The village of Ogre. I'm going through the desert labyrinth. As a result of consultation with everyone, we decided to trust Isaac's words. Asha. We're here. Isaac waves his hand delightfully. A rocky mountain rising in the desert. In the distance, it really looked like just a rock, but there was an entrance to the labyrinth in the hillside. From here, if we walk about half a day we will reach the Ogre village, and there are quite a few villages from there. Was there such a route? Diane.San is obediently impressed by Isaac, who is puffed up with pride. Is it really faster than a high-speed carriage? And Zeros is a little suspicious, but Isaac guaranteed it. Beautiful. There really is a light window here and there. How was it made? And Selenium has been obediently impressed. Although we rely on a carriage to travel so far, we are soldiers. We all belong to the Crossbow Corps and we had daily marching training, and the only exception, Selenium, is a traveler who made a long journey. No one hurried, just walking and moving. We were exercising our legs to the extent that we didn't feel so bad even walking every day. Walking width of an ogre was a bit too wide on the human scale, and it was a delicate whether you say half a day, and if it really took half a day. Alright, we are almost there. That corner. We walked through a stone underpass in the evening and Isaac happily rushes into a tunnel that had a strange shape. When I was a kid, here was the place when I had a quarrel. This is the trace that I was thrown and broke this wall. Don't have a destructive quarrel in this underground. It's a story of the past, let's ignore it. Isaac, who rushes through the sideway, grins triumphantly. And then. Welcome to the Ogre colony. But there are not many people here. A small village where a little oasis springs up has appeared after we went through the tunnel. Dazzling. Despite the evening, the sky felt dazzling at once as we were walking underground the whole day. It has a source of oasis around 20 m around and a creek and green undergrowth, centered on a stream flowing out of it. It doesn't feel like the middle of a barren desert. There are colorful rocky houses painted with pigments in the surrounding area. There are not many houses, but with only the ogre colony, the houses were huge, causing an illusion that would make the ogres look like small animals. Oh. Kelly, you are Kelly, right? The Ogre who came out of the house in response to Isaac's voice rushed towards Isaac, swinging the fist suddenly. Isaac also reflexively swings his fist fully, and then those two hit each other directly and fell down. Moreover, they stand up abruptly and hit each other's shoulder. The punch seems to be a greeting. I'm back, Gillard. I wonder if you have changed. What the hell, I thought that you had died since you haven't returned for years. I guess it's easy to die. Well, wait a minute, it's been a while since last time. Isaac's old friend Gillard, an ogre, jumped on one of the rock houses and raises a huge howl. A few minutes after that, the village was gathered and everyone knew the circumstances of Isaac's return and were delighted with pleasure. That's why I'm going to have a welcome party, so I want you to eat and drink, no reserve. Also, the amount of 4 people aren't enough to hold us back as we are a festival-loving village. Bonfire is revolving here and there. A table and a furnace are arranged in the plaza near the oasis and the party is ready in the blink of an eye. Under the moon. The small village in the middle of the desert was in a frenzy of merrymaking. Isaac seems to be popular in the village. It is a little enviable. Even if I return to Polka, is there anyone who cares about me other than Apple, Selenium and my parents? Hey, guest, drink a bit more. Oops, a female ogre who is Isaac's mother takes care of me. Because it is a huge mug for an ogre, I have to drink it again and reduce the equivalent of good luck. How about you, Kelly? Aren't you proud that your son is in the army? That child, I think he's a pretty good person. As a fact, Isaac is excellent, so let me tell that. Isaac's mother sighed fairly. Somewhat regrettable. If possible, I want him to leave as quickly as possible, though I also want him to come back. We have a man shortage. Looking around, I feel that there are more female ogres than male ones. Recruitment. I mutter, but Diane.San, who is sitting next to me, shakes her head. I cannot imagine that an official can reach such a place saying that he will recruit them and Isaac should be a volunteer. Yes, it is so. Isaac's mother had a distant look. Where do you think this meat comes from? She pointed at the roasted pig. Like meat. I cannot think that domestic animals can be domesticated here. Perhaps, monster, is it? Well, on classification it seems to be so. Isaac's mother nods to Anzero's and Selenium's answers. I'm thinking to throw up in spite of myself. I never heard of eating the flesh of a monster, which is a product of the bad nature flow. It seems to be original so to eat monsters, as in the past, there is the legend that the people who made the labyrinth did so. Well, that's right, even for eating. But it is dangerous to go hunting, sometimes someone will get killed. Oh well, we're living by relying on the labyrinth, so we are prepared, but, because men are stupid by all means, they go because they wanted to impress the women. Ogres have a tendency to consider both sexes as combatants. However, the part where the men are easy to die seems to stand out. So it seems that he has already made a fine success and I want him to come back soon. I see, it would be wonderful if he isn't so hesitant. Don't you know why he won't come back? Isaac's mother lifts her eyes in frustration. Because his childhood friend was stolen by someone else. Stolen by someone else. It seems that Isaac had an older childhood friend who swore to marry him when he was young. However, she was pretty beautiful, so Isaac had many rivals and he swore to make it big in the city. If he becomes great in the army and then refined his urban sense, he can claim to be qualified to marry her without complaint. Isaac thought so and volunteered for the Celesta army. A few years later, at the timing when he became a regular soldier, Isaac came back to the village to firmly establish the promise of childhood in the form of an engagement. But she was married to another ogre. Female ogre has a high birth function and it is said that they can get married from about 14 years old. At that time Isaac was 20, she 21 years old. It was too late to have her wait without any promise in this country. The disappointed Isaac is said to have gradually reduced the frequency of returning afterward and he didn't return for the last few years. It's a heavy story. For example, if I go back to Polka and see Selenium or Apple sticking with another guy and having a baby, I might not recover. Well, the last few years, he couldn't return because it was a period for our crossbow corps where we couldn't take a break. You are useless, Isaac.San, you are useless, and for some reason Selenium and Diane.San were bitter. Let's feel sympathy for a moment. Diane.San, what do you say? If she has been taken, he should get her back. Yes, what will you do with acknowledging defeat first without trying it? These guys are too dark and tough. So it's going to keep going on to struggle for a night. That's right. Power is the method of ogres to get a woman, and Isaac's mother was also strangely aggressive. Polygamy and polyandry exist in the custom of ogres. Even after they got married, a stronger and better man can grab the woman when he beat the man. So my child, don't be so sulky and get her back. The ogre world is awesome. I wonder if this friendly little village is going to have a very complex and sore relationship. The Ogre party seems to continue still after the midnight and we decided to take a rest. We went to an empty rock house now. The bed, which isn't narrow according to the Ogre's body, is like a king-size bed for us. Selenium and the others gathered together on the second floor of the rock house. As it is a big bed, it's still inconvenient, but it's a bit sorry that I occupy one room by myself. However, to be honest, I thought Isaac was just a normal guy. But even without being an unpopular 30-years-old virgin, in fact, in this area, there is no sufficient of bride materials. There is no general idea to move away from the ancestral lands. Especially, Celesta is strong, and common sense does not pass when stepping out from the provinces, or you cannot get into society as an outsider in many cases. Therefore, the woman is inevitably a surplus in the country because there are few examples of girls who move to the city even if they yearn for the city. On the other hand, men tend to decrease in war, and so they will be selected only by absolute numbers. I cannot bear to wake her up. Before I knew it, I was thinking that Apple would wake up without knowing that we fell in love, and she would love a good guy who was on the spot. It is Apple that I love, thinking that love is just about as long as the skewed kid gave a skepticism. It is not strange that she might forget me who isn't nearby, and I can't complain. Not only Apple, even Selenium or Diane.San, both of them like me, but if I'm too worthless, they are going to leave me. No matter how much the relationship between two people look good, no matter how much you swear to God, you can never be sure of the future forever. Like Isaac's mother said, I can fall in love with them, but there might come someone who takes them away. Both Selenium and Diane are good-looking and are good-natured, and Diane is a legendary person who can rely on people politically and militarily. To keep them tied, my power is too small. Really too small. It can be said that there is nothing impossible. My mood gets darker and darker. I realize how much I was thinking about just how convenient it was for me when Selenium came. The fact that a woman could be taken away was as heavy as that. And I felt that the blanket resting on my body moved a bit, contrary to my movement. What? It crouches around the wide bed. Amid such a huge house, since the illusion that I was small has continued, I thought that it might be a huge insect or a huge mouse that aimed at me. However, a small head with long ears appearing through my blanket barely. Selenium. Shoo, and Zeros and Diane.San might wake up. Selenium smiles mischievously. The moonlight is hollowed from the window and colors her smile. It was too tempting and pounding, while on the other hand, I felt a good weight on my stomach. It is such a wonderful smile, that's supposed to be mine only. In fact, someone surely would take her away someday from me who has no power. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a possible story, but imagining it let my breathing become narrow. The more attractive she is, the more miserable I feel. Selenium, yes, you are my female slave, only. Yes. Yeah. Selenium peers mysteriously at me who look down. Yes, she is my female slave. She is a very convenient woman to me. That's why it's painful. There's nothing between me and her, other than my desires and her affection to answer it. It's not her fault. I can't get anything else, I can't ask for something, and I cannot see her properly because I can't do it. Who, on my head, I could hear a faint breath, somehow triumphant. To lower Andy's spirit just by showing my face. Should I think that there is a minute for me? Since when? It was Diane. Wearing a thin cloth like a sheer dancer and looking down at me bewitchingly. Shoo. It's troubling if N0 wakes up again. She put her finger on my lips. Attractive profusely. Why this form? You know what, the purpose is to captivate you by chance after a long time. This thin cloth was sold in the Ophiclade market and I bought it when you guys were having a drink. How about it, are you more fired up than the usual nudity? How did Diane know that I was really fired up right now? Moo. I was the first who came tonight, that's why Andy is withering, because you didn't take care of him, so Andy is supposed to be in my mood tonight. That, since it seems likely that some unnecessary misunderstanding will be made between the two, I hurry and separate them. No, that's not the reason my son is withered. That, it's a little sad that the two of you are so attractive and don't fit me, after all. I wonder if you guys will be taken away like Isaac's childhood friend, Andy. While shaking her breasts beyond the thin cloth that wasn't concealed at all, Diane approached my face from above. She had an angry face. You're an idiot, Diane sighs. Listen. There is certainly no mind to suspect. Everything is momentary. But if you're scared, you don't want to believe in people, one breath. But, what's the value of something that doesn't change? What joy is there in changing things that should change? With little tender eyes, Diane goes down on her knees and hugged me from behind. Her breasts are soft as they stick to my back. I feel a joy that my heart will never change. I think it's worth so much to tell you that the feeling of loving you doesn't change at all. We might not like each other and we may not even have met, but I want to love you forever right now. This thought might not change in 10 years, even in 100 years, that, I'm an elf who has a long life. There is not a mind nor a promise which can cover all that. So I'm not interested in eternity or the future. I think the only thing counting right now is that I love you. Don't you think so too? The scale was too large to answer. However, I realize that Diane hasn't lied to me, saying that she loves me so much even in the future isn't a lie. And I seem to be pulled into that love. I have dedicated everything to Andy.San from the beginning. I return to myself with Selenium's scream-like voice. Selenium tried to cry and toss off her clothes violently, trying to twine around my lower body. I want to be loved by Andy.San. I want Andy.San to ravish me everywhere, every night, all the time. I would like to spend my days being marked by Andy.San. I want to be filled with Andy's semen to every corner of my body, and I'd rather be Andy. San's exclusively slave without any doubt. Selenium tells me her love as opposed to Diane's magnificent love. She talks with the impulse that overflows out of her as if she had been overwhelmed with obscene words. Therefore, in this way, Selenium straddled over my penis tremblingly. Then she swallows it with her pussy to the interior, and as my penis is welcomed inside her womb, she started to move her waist. In this way, I tell you, train me to the core. I will do anything. Goochoo, 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 and with her hands on my chest, her waist moves slightly. Just shaking her waist back and forth. However, I can understand the meaning by her peculiar gaze and motion. She doesn't let me escape. If it is possible to keep it stuck precisely in the deep bottom, Selenium hopes that I will ejaculate. Even with that instinct, without a doubt, she shows me her full affection. This, doing, time, first. I am just doing this, really I'm your meat toilet, so don't abandon me, I want to be ravished more and more. Hearing her shaking subtle voice from the core of her heart let me reach the desire to ejaculate. And I can't endure the ejaculation impulse right now. Selenium receives it pleasingly from the bottom of her heart. As a woman, she expresses the bliss as a living being with her face. Diane, who seemed not to be fascinated by it, pulled Selenium aside, who is trembling from the reverberations. AAA. I'm lusting for you. I want your lust. I don't want to tell you, I'm a meat toilet. Diane, who lifts up the seed up through cloth, sits down with a blistered face. I won't tell you, no, I do not mind, but it does not matter, if you love me, I will become a meat toilet. Moving the waist by herself, the hole is expanded without permission whenever the glans is pushed up to the interior. Even I can be a slave or a meat toilet. I will give you any hole, if you are happy with that, I will also be happy, be you, but, you, want to rely on me, so you don't want to rely on a meat toilet. Diane. Goochoo, goochoo, every time the waist strokes, the cloth rises and leaves a wind. It was supposed to be a vulgar action, but the follow-up of that loose movement made me feel the nobility of this person. If that's okay, I am also good, it's fine, therefore dye me in your color. Just you Andy, you can use me as you want. That's. And I ejaculate inside Diane. Diane, who trembles with reverberations, is thrust aside and Selenium starts to hold my son in her mouth. Wait a minute, I waited too. Well, that semen is what I want, first come first serve, if that's the case. On top of me, a half-elf and a dark elf are fighting to lick my erected penis. Ah, I'm selfish. After all, I thought that I don't want to pass either of these two to anyone. Nui, what's the matter guest? Andro, it is and zeros, I'd like to have some water, if possible. A jar full, laundry, unavoidably.